Hey, everybody, welcome back to Crossfire Republic, where we bring controversial topics into the crosshairs. However, today we're running our special, The Bastards of Panjwai. We're highlighting all of our old battle buddies and our time in war together and in the military. Today we have on a very special guest. And honestly, I feel like when I introduce his name, the Stone Cold Steve Austin theme when he walked up should come on.
All right, I like that.
This man is a rebel, baby. No, Jason Harris, he's with us. Before that, also shout out to my co-host Casey. As you guys know, he is here to help facilitate conversation. And anyway, back to it. Jason Harris,
what's up, buddy?
On, buddy.
Hey, long time no talk.
Long time no talk, and that's unfortunate because honestly, we should be the boys of Panjwai should be talking every single day, checking up on one another.
It's been like a week or something.
A week, yeah, that's too long in my opinion, bro. I got to hear all your great stories. You got all sorts of crazy stuff always going on in your life, and it's very entertaining.
Always,
yeah, dude.
I got to keep it interesting.
I'd like to let the audience know too. Harris is one of those guys. He was with our unit for I think over 4 years. And he has probably the biggest reputation of anyone that was in 5-1 Cav for not taking shit from anybody, no matter who they are. So that's kind of the backdrop of who Harris is.
That's why all of you guys got promoted before I did too. So
it definitely has its hindrances at times.
Yeah.
But it's an admirable and moral trait, bro, because a lot of times you were in the right. And I think that it's important to put a check on leadership and say, hey, just because you have rank doesn't mean that you're right. And you did that. So I think that's important. Yeah. So we actually came up together. Me, you, well, we all came up together, but specifically,
Mets.
I think we came in MEPS together.
Well, not I'm sorry, in processing. I'm all in processing, Fairbanks. Yeah.
Yeah. Once we got up to Alaska, which is our first duty station, Fairbanks at Fort Wainwright, me, you, and James motherfucking Perryman Bailey went through together. And actually, Jamie's the one that brought us together because I hated you.
I couldn't stand you. That's funny you mentioned that.
yeah, dude. We had a real big beef going on, and Jamie is just like that guy, bro. That he's just friends with everybody, and he's the greatest guy. And because I enjoyed hanging out with him, that meant that I had to hang out with his childhood best friend, which I think is unique. Tell us about, like, you and Jamie have a previous relationship before the Army, right?
Yeah, we're both from Birmingham, Alabama, so we kind of had the same old stomping grounds, and we joined the Army at the same exact time. Ended up going to this, we obviously both decided to become scouts. Went to basic training, OSIT. We did our first duty station together, all the way up through our second deployment in Afghanistan. So me and him, we've been through it together. We've been together the longest. My little big brother.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, your guys' dynamic is awesome, man. You guys are truly brothers, and I think that bond strengthened even more through our 2 deployments together. Both, all of us. You, Jamie, who's not on the show, by the way, but we'll get him on the show. Me, you, Jamie, and Casey. We actually got up to Fort Wainwright together, and we actually deployed 2 times together.
Yeah.
To Iraq and Afghanistan. But yeah, when we were coming up. And got stationed. Well, it's crazy because I'm infantry. You're a scout. Casey's a scout. Jamie's a scout. And for the record, to my infantry brethren, I'm sorry. I'm a Cav scout at heart.
Hell
baby.
Yeah, baby.
I put it on the record. You heard it here first. If I had my Stetson, I'd throw that baby on with the blue cord. There's something unique about the Cav Scouts, and I really enjoyed being around them. During my second duty station in Fort Hood, I was around more infantry, and there's just something special about Scouts, and I will always be a Scout in my books, and I don't care what anybody says. But yeah.
Jason, why did you choose to be a Scout at the time when you ended up joining?
So this might come as a surprise to you, but when I was growing up, I was a troubled youth. I got pretty much raised myself, I would say, from about 6 late 15 to 16. My dad was in 5th group, so he was always getting deployed. He was attached to 5th group as their NBC guy, and he spent his entire 24 years attached to a team. So he was always gone. My parents were divorced since I was 11 years old, so split home. Long story short, around 15, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go live with my dad, and mom kind of crazy, kind of out there. Still don't have a relationship with her, which is probably for the better. But I moved to live with my dad, and he was there for me. He's a great dad. He's just always gone because he's deployed all the time, So it ended up turning into one of those things. He thought he was getting out of the Army, and he ended up moving. We all went down to Chattanooga with him. That's where we got our retirement house. It's actually a little place outside Chattanooga called Saudi Daisy, of all things. Bought the retirement house. We all moved down there. Me and my stepmother, we feuded a lot. Surprise, surprise. We never could get on the same page. He still had his house up at Fort Campbell. So it was one of those things. He's like, you know what? Y'all don't get along. I'm deployed. I can't really contain you guys. Somebody's going to end up going to jail. I just got y'all back. I'm not trying to have this big division between both sides of my family. So it worked out. I went back to Clarksville. He said, if you want to be a man and, stand up to adults and stuff, then you're going to act like one. So I worked 3 jobs, movie theater. I was a lifeguard. And then my little side gigs here and there, I was always running around, with my older friends because, I wanted to act older. So I, trying to take care of myself. I did all that. Ended up paying rent. He said, you're not going to live for free. You're going to pay me rent. So we went that route. I was working my ass off without a car, by the way, because my dad was not the type person to give you anything, no handouts. In fact, his thing was when you graduate high school, you got 2 choices. You got 2 paths. He said, you're either going to go to college. He said, if you go to school, if you're local, you can live in my house. He said, I'm not going to make you go, whatever. And then the rent would have stopped at that point. Like I could have lived there if I applied myself and went to school. I wasn't that guy. Back then, school was the last thing in my sights because I was kind of still the bad rebel kid back then. I wanted to hang out with the older kids, hang out with the older girls, go to the clubs, get the fake ID. I did all that. Long story short, I was renting this house from him, trying to show I'm a man. No car, no nothing. He handed me an envelope with $500 in it for my birthday, and he said, yeah, you're gonna need a car being a man, so you ain't gotta walk to work and stuff. Because I was walking, and this is no lie, I know this, everybody thinks it's an inflated story. Your grandfather walked 10 miles both ways in the snow, all that. I walked my little ass off when I was a kid because I was like, you know what, it wasn't about being motivated or I'm going to do, but it was about proving my dad wrong. All right. Because he thought I was going to fail. And no, that's not a bad parent. He just said, you're 15, 16 years old. You're not going to be able to work all these jobs, rent a house, and then stay in school, do all these things, and then figure out. I think it was his mission to show me that I actually needed the adults I was feuding with. So it was like, you're going to end up back in Clarksville, but I'm going to give you a couple months to, step on your shit and fucking figure out that you actually need us. No, I had to prove him wrong because I was stubborn. Still am. So I walked my little ass off, bro. Probably 5, for back then, when you're going to school full time and then going and trying to work, I was a lifeguard on weekends. I did the movie theater after I got off of being a lifeguard. I'd walk my ass or hopefully get a friend to give me a ride up to the movie theater on Fort Campbell Boulevard. After I got done with that, I'd end up picking up shifts as a restaurant called Fazoli's. I think it was I say restaurant, you can go sit down and eat and have a waiter take your order and stuff, but it was really a fast food place. Essentially, it was like an Italian fast food place, but I was a waiter at Fazoli, so I did that in the mid parts and stuff. But I was hacking rides, getting what I could, blah blah blah. And I just wanted to prove him wrong. I wanted to say, I'm gonna get all the way through school, and you're not gonna be able to say I couldn't do it. Because to me, after going from growing up with a pretty crazy mom, to having some freedom with my dad. He gave me the rope to hang myself, so to say, but I wanted to prove him wrong that I could do it, because I wanted to be, you know, I'm all his man, I'm gonna do it. Had to prove him wrong. So I worked, did all that. Why I became a scout. So we get there. He said, if you're in school, you can become whatever you want to be. I don't care if you want to be a doctor. You can live in my house for 8 years. I don't care. Whatever. You can stay in my house for 8 years if that's what needs to happen for you to finish a degree. Not for me. So he said, okay, well, he said, I guess you got 3 options. You can go to school. He said, you could join the military, or you can be homeless and I'll help you move your box under a bridge. And I was like, damn, that's kind of hard, dude. Like, for real, you just got me back. I'm your son. You gonna put me out already? He's like, yeah, because with him, he had, I'm not, you know, on the side of my family, I'm not gonna get into everybody's business, but he had a relative that stayed with their mom until older than I am, 40, almost 50 years old, stayed with his mom, had a great job, had nice cars, had everything, living with his mom still. And my dad said, you're not going to be that guy. Like, you're not going to be that guy. So I'm going to kick you out. You're going to figure it out on your own the hard way. And then you're going to be resilient and you're going to make something of yourself. That was the goal. So I go out, I do all this to survive. It was way harder than you think. I'm talking plumbing goes wrong. You're trying to do plumbing. I'm out there not having a clue what I'm doing. Like, jerry rigging it, Alabama chrome, you know, duct tape, whatever I can, just to prove a point. So when it came down to it, I was like, dang, this is a lot harder than I thought. So I got to do something. So I decided I was going to join the military. And back then it was during the surge in Iraq. So we're talking 2006 time frame. And I was like, I'm a junior in high school, but things are hard still. I'm on my own. I ended up getting married as a junior in high school to my next door neighbor, my little high school sweetheart. So I was married in high school, and I was like, dang, things are hard, you know, like I got to do something to survive. So I ended up, at that time, it was called the split option program. So I was like, oh, I could join the reserves. I'm going to go knock out basic training now and then be done with it. And then I come back, finish school, and then I can go off, finish my reserve training, which they didn't do. They didn't. If you were underage, basically, hang on, buddy. If you were underage, basically, you could do a job in the military, but it couldn't be like a combat arms job. So,
right,
reserves. Yeah. I said, you know what? I'm gonna go. Give me whatever, because I had a plan. I had this whole plan worked out. My dad was a recruiter, so we kind of talked it through. We kind of knew some things about it. I ended up going to be an 88 Mike. So,
whoa, blasphemy,
yeah, right?
bro.
Hey, bro, never.
I knew you were a pogue. Bro.
Hey, never even. No, this is where it gets funny, because this is where I'm smarter than you. All right. So I go off to basic training, finish it. I come back. I did it that summer. I come back for my senior year, and then that's where the fun started. I was like, okay, now it's time to go combat arms. I got to figure out what I was going to do to get out of that contract to come, you know, finish out my senior year. So it was a big ordeal. I ended up going and
hey, Harris, let me pause you for a second, brother, because I think you brought up something that's interesting. And then I don't know if this was your experience, but when I got through basic, I felt like I could conquer the world. That whole basic training experience made me feel like I was invincible and a complete badass. And I was ready to see combat like as soon as I got out of there. That's how good it made me feel. Were you feeling the same way?
Same way. One thing that got me, like, that summer while I was going through basic, I'll never forget it. I went to school with a guy, and to this day I can't remember his name. I remember his face, but I can't remember his name. But he was just gone forever, and everybody's like, "What's going on? Like, where's this kid at?" Right? Well, it turned out his dad. Allegedly, this is a story that I got from third party, but it always like resonated with me. They said that his dad was one of the Blackwater dudes that got drugged through Fallujah and hung over that bridge. And I was like, damn, like, to me, that made me just think, like, I went to school with that dude, and now he's had to watch his dad being like, you know, dangling over a bridge in Fallujah. And I was just like, that's the craziest thing ever. So it kind of made me mad, and it kind of gave me more drive to say, I'm not driving a truck if I go over there. So I found out a way, you know, it did. Basic training made me feel like I could conquer the world. And back then I was in amazing shape, beyond, like, that was before lung issues and black mold and everything else. And so yeah, I felt like I could conquer the world. I came back like a hothead. Obviously, now I'm back in high school. I've already got through basic training. I was that guy. I wasn't the guy. Don't get it twisted. I was not the guy wearing my uniform in the airport and the grocery store and shit. I was like, I used to make fun of those dudes for sure. But I still felt like, my dog tags underneath my shirt. I didn't wear them out in the open, but I felt a little bit more pride. I felt like I could conquer the world. So yeah, I was to an extent. It was even worse when I got back to high school. I didn't take nobody's shit. I'm surprised I made it through without getting expelled. I was like, "What the fuck you say to me?" Like, there's always that one thing that sets you off, and you still got a little something to prove, and now you think you got a little bit more, muscle and stuff to do it after I was a hothead, so drill sergeants definitely made me push all day long. I think I did more push-ups in basic than anywhere else in my entire life. But yeah, good point.
I would like to say, and I don't know if you guys are on my page with this, but for those nerds who do wear their uniform and things, I honestly, and this may be a hot take, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Let me tell you why. Let me convince you. Okay. There is nothing that a man should be more proud of than standing up, raising their right hand, and committing their life and laying it on the line potentially for their nation. And you should have a sense of pride in that. And I think that by displaying that, by wearing a uniform out in public, the society around you sees it, and then they can share in that sense of pride. So I would argue that it's good for society for these people to wear their uniforms in the grocery stores, out fishing for discounts and praise from everybody else. What do you think?
I think it's bad for their psyche, because when older guys that's been around, been in the military for a hot minute, they see that, and then you're gonna get hazed. It's the Army. That's what happens.
Yeah.
You could have saved yourself. You could have saved yourself the embarrassment of having to go back to your unit and seeing a picture that went viral because you look like a soup sandwich in the airport. All right, you could have saved yourself that embarrassment, but you didn't, because you tried to flex a little too hard. Now you can go be proud of your country, rep the flag. I got a flag everywhere. I got one out in my yard. Like, the flag, like, that's what, this nation, we love our nation.
Let's go, America.
Let's go. I'm about it, but I ain't gotta wear my ACUs into Walmart and stuff. If I get off, I'm going home to change. I was always like that.
I didn't like the wearing the ACUs, and that's what we wore back then out in public. But I did always want to wear my dress blues, like when I was out and about, because I feel like that's classy sharp, man.
Oh, they do. It's real classy. All right, we got to class up.
Hey, I'm a little bit older than you guys, though, so I didn't. Hey, there was nothing sexy about the greens. All right, like, I was old school, buddy. I came in. I was the first basic training rotation that was getting issued ACUs. Like, that's 2006. That was a changeover. So at least. Go ahead. We can I stopped it too soon. I was going to say, we can tell by the gray in your beard, bro. Right?
You don't have to convince everybody that you're ancient.
Hey, three kids. I'm constantly battling somebody because I think people overstep a little bit. Like my HOA, shout out,
justice, baby,
out, July 22nd. Come see me in court. Me, pro se versus all four of their attorneys. Let's see how that turns out. Can't wait.
My money's on Jason. I already got it booked on Kashi. Kashi, we're looking for sponsors. Go ahead and send some money our way.
Yeah, buddy.
No, you touched on some things that I wanted to build off of more, because on this podcast, me and Casey have talked about how important it is for especially young men to go out and have an adventure. And although it may seem harsh what your father did to you, I think that there's benefit in that. What did you feel like you became more of a man trying to prove him wrong, going out there on your own and battling all that?
Yeah, I think I did. I think in ways, but it's a struggle, But I want to clarify, if I needed help, I could reach out to him. I'll never get the plumbing situation I was talking about. I tried forever to prove that point. Well, he comes home and he's like, what? Why didn't you call me? This is a big issue. I'm basically your landlord. You could call me and we get this fixed. You pay rent. That's my job to fix. I'm like, why didn't I think of that? You know, like I just being so young, I thought that, bro, I got to fix this, or he gonna think I messed it up or something, you know, or I just couldn't get it done. And he's like, that's not how the real world works. If you're a tenant, then it's our job to fix this stuff when it goes wrong. So I made stuff a lot harder on myself than just not reaching out, you know, because he would still be there if I needed something. He'd be there. It's just he's trying to prove a point that I needed them more than I thought.
Absolutely. And that's what I was trying to touch on. I think that, like, it sounds like your father was like the direct example of what a father should be in raising a man, right? To hold yourself accountable. If you think that you're a man, test yourself to become a man. And I think that by doing that, although like the plumbing issue, ask for help, this whole thing, that really instilled and drove that, what it means to be a man. I have an issue come up in front of me. I have to take care of it because I'm the man. And I think that your dad gave that to you. And that's it. And I'm speaking out of turn because it's your experience, not mine. But it feels like to me, like, and that's a lot of what's missing in today's society is people aren't learning how to become a man. And it is super important to be out on your own as you're becoming a man to realize how difficult it is, because difficult things are what we overcome that gives us our pride and our strength and mental toughness and all those things that are inherent values that going into the military are extremely important to have. If you don't have those sort of things instilled into you, you're most likely not going to be very successful in the military.
Yeah, 100%. And one thing to be successful, you also have to learn, no matter how much in your head you got it, that you're some kind of badass and stuff. The rank structure is there for a reason. Yes, I know that. Are you always going to have the best leaders? No, but there's avenues you have to learn how to address that than, you know, trying to handle it at the back of a striker ramp. That's probably not the best way. But you know, that's things that you learn. You're young. You got to come up through the world. You got to learn those hard lessons and move on. So for anybody trying to join, learn how to bite your tongue sometimes, no matter how bad you hate it, unless it's life, limb, you know, or something that's going to get, you know, like I said, if it's going to get you or somebody killed, yeah, address it at the back of a striker ramp. But if not, you know, handle it offline, go talk to your first sergeant, go talk to, you know, a platoon sergeant, something like that before you butt heads at the back of a striker ramp. So that doesn't help you out. That's it's going to hinder you more than it's going to hurt you in the long run.
So Harris, how did you, because you went to basic before, did you go and finish off, I guess, Cav school at Fort Knox after you graduated?
Yeah, so it was that was the fun part, trying to figure out how to get out of the reserves, because you go, basically how it works, you go do basic training, you come back, the split op program, you just went and did your drill weekends. So you were in, and to get paid still, you were still doing your drill weekends, but you were also still in high school. So by the end of it, I said, you know what, I do not want to be a truck driver. That's not what I want to do. But I was in kind of a spot where I needed, you know, I needed that active duty pay as little as it was that summer. I got paid active duty because I was in basic. When I came back and that paycheck dropped, you're PFC and you're like, I'm not making nothing to go drill as a reservist, you know? So I started thinking, like, what can I do soon as I graduate to be done with this? So I, you know, touch base, talked to recruiters, everything else. Ended up not doing so hot, so I had to stay in the reserves for quite some time, but I was delaying going back to basically finish out my training as a 88 Mike, because I was like, I'm not even going to go to training. I was like, I guess y'all can chapter me out, whatever, at this point, because I'm just not going to do that training. So it was a process, man. I had to, you know, about a year of going back and forth with a recruiter. Well, I had to get the reservist commander to sign off from my unit that said, yeah, we're going to release him from this unit, and then he can go and sign up active duty. So that's what I did. They released me from the reserves, and then I went back to a recruiter, did the whole process. And then that's where, when me and Bailey went, that's where I went straight to OSIT training. So we got put in as inserts. So I kind of lucked out, because everybody that went through basic and stuff like that, they were in scout training, right? Well, I show up, I'm a PFC that's got like a year and a half time in service, and nobody knows any different. As far as they knew, I'm an 88 Mike, right? I just decided to come active duty, so I had it made. I was in there. I was with all the inserts. We were going out on weekends, going to the mall, everything else. The drill sergeants kind of like, they thought you were real deal prior service, so they didn't give you shit. Like I did my training and stuff. I was separate from all the other people that did scout training all the way through. So, I just kind of sat there in the background every time they were talking about your training that you did, like what'd you do in the military before y'all got here. I was that guy like in the back, like, I don't want to talk about it. 88 Mike's nobody, it's not cool, So I kind of had it made, man. Still did the training, still sucked. I mean, yeah, Fort Knox wasn't fun, but I had it a little bit easier because I got to hang out with my boys and stuff at night, and we weren't under the same strict guidelines as everybody else, so it actually worked out better for me.
Because I was an insert at 515 Cav too. I was Delta Troop, and but I remember at the end of it, getting my orders handed to me, and it's saying 25th Infantry Division. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm going to Hawaii. I'm going to be on the beach. I'm going to get a Gixxer. I'm just thinking everything. And I had no clue that Fort Wainwright even existed. Did you have the same experience?
Well, yeah, I kind of knew it was there, but I know why that happened to me. And we've already said why, but I know why I got stationed in Fort Wainwright, because as an insert, we kind of had a little bit different. We weren't just waiting on orders to come. We knew what a branch manager was and everything else. So people were calling, trying to get their duty station close to home, everything else. And James Perryman Bailey, my brother, that man called the branch manager probably more times than they ever wanted to hear his voice. Hey, me and my buddy want to know, like, we're inserts, blah, blah, blah. Where are we going to go? We're trying to get close to Alabama. We're from Birmingham. He called them all the time, I think. Probably sent up emails, everything else. And they said, these little motherfuckers, these little privates, bro, going to call us and demand where they're going. I'm going to send them to fucking Fairbanks. That's where I'm going to send them. So to this day, I think James Perryman Bailey got me stationed in Fort Wainwright, Alaska. Go from the humidity of Birmingham to fucking Fairbanks, Alaska, which I got there in the summer, so I wasn't really prepared. All I know is being an insert. I had a drill sergeant Netzel, I believe. He had one of those little Louisville Sluggers that he had in his like car or something. And he came in when we got our orders to Fairbanks, and that dude, like, he handed it to us as a joke. He goes, "Here, y'all are going to need this." It was one of those just like the little miniature Louisville Sluggers. He's like, "Y'all are going to need this in Fairbanks." I was like, "Oh, right, for all the grizzly bears running around." He's like, "No, they would just eat you. That's not going to do nothing to a grizzly bear." He's like, "You need it for the mosquitoes." And I was like, "What the fuck?" In Birmingham, if you have a cold winter, the mosquitoes aren't terrible. All right, like, they're out there, but they're not terrible. Like, this winter killed them off. I was like, it's Fairbanks. As cold as I hear it gets, there's not even mosquitoes there. I thought in my head going up there, I said, there's no mosquitoes in the tundra, right? This is Arctic tundra. Not happening. We get off the plane, and you can just see these big ass things flying around. I was like, what is that? And Bailey's like, dude, that's a mosquito. I was like, that's a big ass mosquito. That's not a mosquito. It's got to be something else. And sure as shit, they're mosquitoes, big ass mosquitoes everywhere. And I'm like, in Fairbanks, like, it's not cold enough to kill all this stuff off. Worst mosquitoes I've ever seen in my life in Fairbanks, Alaska. So, all the years we spent up there, that's what I hate the most. Mosquitoes. You go out camping trips, all that we did. Bait almost got us killed by some dude once out there.
Erroneous.
All of it.
Erroneous.
I was more worried about the mosquitoes than that dude that we were pissing off because we were drunk out in the woods and he was missing out on sleep.
Hey man, it's a military town, bro. These things are to be expected.
Yeah.
I did once see a mosquito take a steak off the grill.
Yeah,
True story, not
believe
making
it.
it up.
I believe
real
it.
talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I found out I was going up to Alaska, like, I hate the cold. I am so anti-cold. I've always been anti-cold. I hate it. I'm from Idaho. Winters there were cold, terrible. I hated it. And I was like, just give me anywhere where it's warm. And they give me Fairbanks, Alaska. And I'm like, what the? I was so pissed off. And I was expecting when you get up there, it to just be cold, snow everywhere, no civilization around. And for the most part, there was no civilization around. But when I got there in the summer, like one of the people that I was staying with in the in processing, we'd met some people at the mall and they're like, oh, we're having a bonfire out in the woods. Come on. And I think we got up there. It must have been like June or something in there. Right? Yeah. And so we went out there and we're having a good time partying or whatever. And I'm like, oh man, I'm tired, bro. And I look at my clock, it's 3 a.m. and the sun's still hanging in the sky. That experience to me was awesome. It was awesome. Now the winter time's not so much, but what do you think about the difference between summers and winters in Alaska? Like, what did you think about having to deal with all the sunlight and all the lack of sunlight?
So the first year was one of the hardest years of my life because you're like, it wasn't that bad as far as like surviving, but it was like the adjustment, like you said, 23 hours of daylight. I'm like, this is awesome, bro. I can party all day long, do whatever I want. Like, and then when, PT rolls around and they're trying to make you run 10 miles, you're like, I'm tired. Like, I ain't got time for this. Well, the Army don't care. They don't care if you stayed up till 4 o'clock in the morning partying, whatever. Like, you're going to run and you're either going to adapt or you're not going to adapt and you're going to be gone. So I was like, dang, this sucks. So it was an adjustment to say, no, I have to force myself to kind of be somewhat of an adult and, go to work, and survive, So that was an adjustment for sure.
We were good. We were good at staying out all night partying and coming in the morning and running 10 miles.
Yeah.
All right. We rocked with that, bro. We were imagine if we how strong and how athletic and all that we would have been if we had spent less time having fun and more time training.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, like PT, do you remember like in the winter times? Like, I forget what the temperature threshold was, but it would be cold as balls, like -25. And we'd be like, have our PT jacket and pants on. And then the first sergeant or his commander would come out and be like, well, everybody wearing all that cold weather. It ain't that cold. He'd come out in his shorts and t-shirt.
Yeah, because he knew he was about to run our little ass off and we'd be warmed right up. Like,
yeah. Your eyeballs would be freezing together and shit. Like,
dude, I'll never forget that. Like one of the first coldest runs ever. I'm running and you're running into that just Arctic freeze and your eyes are like, dude, like what the heck? So they're watering because they're just like they're just frozen, right? But it's so cold that I don't care how salty your tears are, bro. Like my eyelashes were freezing together to where it was hard to even open my eyes. And I'm like, well, this is crazy. So you try to wipe your eyelashes and they would just break off. So they tell you they're like, dude, if you're running, you just got to run with your gloves up to your eyes to defrost them. I'm like, I can't see. How am I going to, how? Like I can't defrost my eyeballs as I'm running. So it was definitely something you had to learn. You had to learn, or you just look like a damn naked mole rat with no like hair anywhere because it all breaks off. So I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. But it was an adjustment. Alaska, I hated it the first year. Couldn't stand it. I was like, of course I would get stationed here. But by the second year, I loved it. Once you get out there, you start ice fishing, hunting, all the things that Alaska has to offer people like us. Go out to the flats and shoot guns. Like we kind of had it made, honestly. Once you get climatized. I loved Alaska. I tried to stay, but
yeah, it was honestly badass. Like yeah. I look back on it now, and I wish I would have taken more advantage of the opportunities that were up there. It was like all the times we went out camping and stuff was awesome. Like the hunting there was incredible, sure. and they took care of us. Like they took care of the military. I think we got me, Marshall, and I think you as well got tags for basically everything, including ground bear, and the grand total was like $50 or something. Yeah, we're talking moose, bear.
Back then, a grizzly bear tag was $25 for a resident. So we had to wait a year before you could qualify to be a resident. But $25 grizzly bear tags. I think that, don't quote me, you can look it back then, but I want to say that a bear tag for a non-resident was something like $2,000 or something, and then you weren't even guaranteed to go out there and even see one. So you're buying the tag with hopes of going out there and finding one. So $25, and we had that opportunity. Pretty cool. Alaska was something else.
It was badass, and I think it really like helped build us into men. Like honestly, looking back on it, having to go through that extreme experience in the wintertime, like for instance, cold weather training.
Yeah, negative 28, sleeping up there in a sleeping bag.
Bro, I swear to God, on the second time we did it, it was like negative 50, bro. Am I wrong in that?
No,
It
it
probably was. It probably
Wasn't it?
was. Yeah.
The first time wasn't as bad. I think it was like negative 27, which, hello, what are we talking about? That's
Bro,
freezing.
anything past negative 20, it all feels the same. It doesn't matter. So that's probably why I didn't even care to look at it.
It literally,
frigid.
yeah.
I don't even need to look at a watch. It's cold. Like
It's-
you're frozen to your core after negative 20, period.
Well, I think also what's interesting is when we were all in processing, that was when we found out that we were going to be deploying in 60 days or 60 or 90 days.
Oh, when I got my orders, when me and Bailey got our orders at Knox, they had it to us and they said, "Oh, congratulations, y'all are going to Iraq." And I was like, "We got orders to Iraq from OSIT? Like, is that a thing?" He's like, "Well," he's like, "Kinda." He's like, "You're literally going to 5-1 Cav, and then you're gonna probably spend a month or two there, maybe like a month there in processing, and then you're gonna go to the desert, do a little training there before you're on your way on over to Iraq." He said, "Because that unit is slated, they are going to Iraq, so you're going to Iraq." He said, "You can go in process first, but that's within 6 months you're gonna be in Iraq." And I was like, "Okay, all right." So I wasn't mad at it because I was like, "Cool." Like I didn't want my dad to have all the deployments and stuff. I'm thinking I'm a young soldier. I was like, I gotta go, but to me, bro, I was thinking it was a lot different. So going during the surge, like Iraq, Afghanistan, two totally different deployments for me. So I was thinking Iraq was about to be like shooting it out and stuff every day.
And I don't know about you guys, but when we were going to Iraq, I was so pumped up and excited to go. Yeah. And I thought Iraq was going to be what Afghanistan was.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking the whole time. I'll never forget, like driving around. What was it? Where'd we go? Caldwell first? Caldwell. Yeah. You're at, even then there's buildings and stuff around, but you're like, okay, this is a little like place out in the middle of nowhere, compared to Birmingham. This is like a little bitty in the middle of the desert. We're going to get attacked here every day. Like you just think like you're waiting to get overrun at any minute. And it's just not, that's not what it was there, was there stuff going on? Yeah, there was still stuff going on, but it wasn't what you think. It wasn't like, damn, I was thinking I was about to head off to the, Vietnam or something, get shot at every day. Totally different. It's definitely an adjustment.
We heard all the stories, like when we were still in high school, we heard all the stories of like Fallujah and all this, where like the battles were going on. There was courageous acts happening. Yeah. Like it was real war. And I think that, that started to obviously phase out after a while because America did an awesome job at kicking ass and like suppressing the, sorry, my computer. Anyway, okay. Sorry, I thought my camera had shut off. Suppressing the rebels, basically.
Al-Qaeda.
Al-Qaeda, thank you. Al-Qaeda. And, I think most of those battles were probably going on in major cities, and Casey could speak to that more because he's the history buff here. But I think the fact that we were out in the middle of nowhere, the anticipation for me was the same. Like I get out here, I'm like, bro, we're so vulnerable out here. Like we're going to be getting attacked all the time. And
we were there. We were there for a different mission, training Iraqi police and everything. But where we were, northern Iraq, the Diyala province, it's a lot of Kurdish up there. Kurdistan. That's a lot of like really pro-American people that we were working with. That's why I say like travel the world and meet different people because you're going to meet some good people no matter where you go. But some of the people we worked with were just like the best dudes ever. Our interpreter, JC, wish I could get in contact with him to this day. Good dude. Had some good Kurdish fighters up there, but they pretty much had it on lockdown by the time we got there. I felt so not a lot going on.
Yeah, I remember getting to Cobra and we didn't have anything out there, and we were pulling security and I think like 4 or 6 hour shifts rotating nonstop and then doing missions.
And then going from CP guard straight to QRF. So you think you're about to get a break and you're not? Yeah.
Yeah, and that was rough and everything, and that was kind of what I expected, and I thought that would make the tour better. But then there was like no action, and I felt like such a loser going through the tour. As we're getting closer and closer to coming back, and I'm not seeing anything.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly how it felt. A lot of, it was very stagnant there. I felt like, and the problem was, like you said, there was nothing there. Like our MWR. If it even worked, like a couple computers at a time, and then even then, good luck getting connected. Like it was there was basically no calling home. There was no. I mean, once in a while you could get on there and get a call out or whatever, but you go sign in, and it was kind of like you're on your time. When you have your downtime, you either sleep or you go stand in the MWR line for the couple computers or the phone that worked. So I definitely remember that. It was just a total shit show, like being there, not a lot of anything to do except for workout, sleep, or argue with each other, like get the little hostilities and stuff going. Or KP, we did a lot. I did a lot.
A lot of KP.
I was in trouble all the time, so
when we
washed a lot of dishes.
Yeah, KP was absolutely the worst. But when we stopped at Caldwell briefly when we first got there. And I believe Alpha Troop stayed down there. Yeah. And then we moved out to Cobra. And actually, when we got there, I don't know if you guys remember, but there was like, we eventually built up like Hesco's and stuff.
Yeah.
But it was just a couple old abandoned buildings, for lack of a better term. And there was like nothing else there until we started to build it up. And the MWR, we didn't have phones, internet, any of that stuff.
Nothing at first. Yeah.
For the first 2-3 months of the deployment. And then after that, we got like a couple computers, and you were able to call home like every so often or whatever.
On refit to Caldwell, that's the only time like everybody wanted to go to Caldwell to do whatever shitty thing was going on. Like, hey, we got to go empty out a whole bunch of connexes and do inventory. Sign us up, because we're about to go get rippets and be able to use the phone and shit. So we'll go do it. Like, sign us up. I'll go to Caldwell. I'll stay in that Connex all day long just so I can get a couple of rippets and call home, But that's how it was the first couple of months there. It's just nothing. Like, you'll sign up for the shitty task and stuff. Give me one second. I'm listening to you.
And we had to play basketball while we were down there, obviously. Which by the way, Jason, there's been a lot of shit talking from Casey, who said still to this day, 1-on-1, you're not taking him.
I'll take you right now to this day. All right, anytime, any place. Let's do this.
I think if Bailey was on this podcast, he'd be saying that he's the best basketball player out of the crew.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and if I remember right, hold on. Last time, didn't we ball up? Oh, and then you stole my ball and hit it because I cooked you, bro.
You didn't cook me, boy.
Yeah.
You're 4 feet tall. You didn't cook me.
Fact check. I'm 5'5.5".
Okay.
7/8.
I don't believe it.
Well, we went down there and we balled, right? When we were going to the Alabama game at the Cowboys Stadium, and we balled. You stole my basketball.
I beat your ass.
No, bro. No, bro. And Jamie cooked you with his strong leg, with his weak leg, and he was like 350 pounds at the time. Just kidding, Jamie. You weren't that big.
Wasn't that right after you took me skydiving and broke my fucking tailbone or some shit on my landing? Is that what it was? Like I was practically paralyzed for that game? Is that what was going on?
Well, hold on. In my defense, I needed the guy who was better at his job on the landing, because I was terrified. That was the most terrifying experience of my life.
Okay, so quick intermission. This is how this went down. We go on this little skydiving adventure, and we're like, we got to do something crazy. This is going to be fun. So we get these...
It was your birthday.
Yeah, it was my 30th birthday.
Yeah.
So we get these fucking bear suits, like these onesies from Walmart, bro. And it was like from the movie Ted. It literally said Thunder Buddies for life on the onesie. So we got this bear suit onesie with the ears and everything. And we're going to jump out Thunder Buddies for life. Bro, it was so damn hot in that onesie. I thought I was going to have a fucking heat stroke before we even got up there. Then they put us in this little fucking Cessna and you're strapped to these little dudes. And I'm like, dude, I'm I'm like twice your size. Like, this is crazy to me. How are you going to land this shit? And there was a tall dude and then there was a short dude. So I don't know what logic is going on here, but they're like, oh, babe, how tall are you? And he's like, 5'5", 5'6", something, 5'8", whatever. And they're like, oh, okay. You jump with this dude who is like 6'3". And then how tall are you? And I'm like, I'm 5'10", 5'11", somewhere in there. They're like, oh, you jump with this guy that's 5'5". Yeah, sounds great. Like, let's do that. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. But on landing, bro, he's like, dude, just when we're landing, I gotta land us. So you're just gonna have to punch your legs up, and I'm gonna land us. So they wanted me to basically be like an L coming in on landing. Bro, that little dude couldn't hold us up, and it was like we were corkscrewing because we would sit there all day, and they're like, we got to get a weather window because it's too windy and this, that, and the other, and we're like, damn, we're not even gonna be able to jump. They're like, quick, let's go, we got a weather window. So we go up there, go way up. I think I still to this day, we paid for like 7,500 feet, something like that. I think they took us up past 10 because we were the last jump of the day, and they're like, it's your birthday, we're gonna take you up there. So we got a good jump out of it. It was great, but we're coming in like a fucking corkscrew, and I'm like, dang, this is cool. That ground's coming up pretty fast, right? And he's like, yeah, just put your legs up. And I could tell in his voice, I'm like, this dude's got a whole ass helmet on and stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay. Put my legs up. We hit the ground, and I'm like, oh shit. They unhook us, we run up, we're like, that was awesome, blah blah blah. I drove us out there in my Mustang. All right, I should have took the truck. I don't know what I was thinking. I took the car 5-6 speed. I'm sitting there, I'm driving home, I'm hitting the clutch. I'm like, bro, I like something don't feel right. Like, I feel like something's fucked up. So I'm driving and driving. By the time I got home, bro, I couldn't even get out of the car, son. Like, my spine just felt like it was just jacked up. Bro, I sat on a pillow that night while everybody's celebrating my birthday and shit. I'm sitting there with like a broken tailbone, and I'm just like, oh my God, like, I can't even move. Like, it was the most pain I've ever been in my life from that landing. So Bait almost killed me for my 30th birthday.
You're welcome, buddy, and I enjoyed every minute of it. Hey, do you remember getting on that plane, bro? Like, legitimately,
bro.
And I'm not even BSing right now. Like, I was literally had a lot of nerves about it. And part of the reasons I wanted to do this was like, after the military, I felt like I had lost my edge, and I wanted to push and see if I was still capable of doing things that made me fearful. And so when we get aboard this plane, after he finds out he's going with this borderline midget, and they're strapping me up with the guy his calves were, he had great calves.
You jumped with a good one. That's why you could walk afterwards. Awesome. Yeah. And the TED uniforms were a terrible idea in retrospect.
Terrible. It was stupid. It maybe for the pictures before we went up.
Still epic.
Still epic. But do you remember we got on this plane? There's rust holes in the floorboard, and the age of the pilot was like 15, bro.
He was a kid, bro. And I get on that plane, and like you were saying, we're crammed in there. They're like, yeah, just sit between this dude's legs. I'm like, bro, come on. They're like, yeah, y'all got to straddle each other. I'm like, bro, nut to butt. I'm like, bro, come on now. Like, this is my birthday. I don't want to be crammed in here like sardines like that. But it is what it is. That's how we go up. And I'm thinking, is this hunk of shit? Like, can this thing fly? Like, are we even going to get to take off here? It was nuts, man. It was a whole thing. It was a whole experience.
It was.
And then I look up there and saw that little pilot, and I was like, bro, that is a child.
This is somebody get their kid.
It was that dude's son, bro. He just like threw him the keys and said, take these guys up. Like,
yeah, the last one of the day, buddy. You got this. I'm going for a beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, dude. It was an awesome experience. And when you hit it's loud as all hell, but as soon as the chute opens and it just becomes peaceful and serene, there was something like that was a special sort of moment thing.
So you went out of the plane before me, because I remember I'm sitting there and we get higher and higher, and I'm like, oh, this looks about right. And I see him looking at his altimeter, and I'm like, okay, 7,500. Like, this is it. We're about to go any minute now. And they kept going and going. I'm like, dude, this is not. We didn't pay for the expensive one like that. Like, this is going up there, and they kept going up and up. And I'm like, dang, this is high as shit, bro. I'm looking down. I'm like, I can't see shit. There's clouds everywhere, even though they're like, we're looking for a break in the weather. And I'm like, what the fuck? They're kidding with us. They're going to circle around and land. I was like, we're not even going to be able to do it because the weather's so bad. And then I hear, and the door flies open, and I hear the shit rushing in. I'm like, oh shit. Well, by the time he scooshes you up and you get flung out of the plane, I'm like, dude, I gotta do it now. I can't let bait. Like, I'll never live it down. I said,
No.
I gotta do it. So
I was convinced you weren't going to either, bro. I
hurl
thought
me
I
to
would
my
get on the
death.
ground and you would have come down with him.
You know why though? You know, it's not that I'm scared because I'm like, everybody asks me, what are you scared of? Nothing. Honestly, I'm not scared of that. I'm not scared of nothing. Honestly, I really am not scared of nothing. I think my fear is not being in control. And that's the problem. It's like that parachute's not on my back, right? Like that's the only thing that truly scared me, I think, is because I couldn't control my own destiny. Like I feel like in any situation I'm in, as long as I can make a decision, I'm driving the car, I'm doing something where if something goes wrong, it's my fault. I'm okay with it. I'll take risk. I'll be the adrenaline junkie. But that was like getting thrown out of an airplane, literally, and you have no control of the situation at all. So
literally,
that's what I didn't like.
And Casey, I see you about to jump in, but real quick, this brings up a philosophical question that I've often asked people and wondered. And my guess is that Jason, you definitely, Casey, probably. Would you rather, if you're on a sports team, would you rather lose the championship because of something you did or because of something someone else did?
Something somebody else did. I don't want to live with that. Yeah.
Whoa.
I don't want to be the cause. I don't want to be the cause of failure. You know what I'm saying?
I figured you would have been different. So my philosophy is like, if I lose because of something someone else did, I feel cheated. I feel robbed of that, right? And so, like, I want to be in complete control of being able to be victorious. Whereas if I lose, at least I can sit with the fact that I failed and let the team down, and I did the best that I could, and it came up short. So that's kind of my thought process on the thing.
I can see that point of view. I think like we talked about and stuff too. You know, I've been there where I felt like I let people down, even on our last deployment, just because of my attitude and stuff like that, feuding with some people, and you know, some changes that had to happen because me and some people couldn't get along. But it was like you kind of feel like you let everybody down. And if you could have just dealt with the shit you were going through, it would have been different. So I don't like that feeling. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's fair.
To me, I'd rather it be because of something somebody else did, you know? So it's a lot to deal with, you know?
I'd much rather let myself down before I let down another person.
Yeah.
Well, that's a whole different question. Of course, that was the options, and yes, that's what I would choose. But that wasn't what my options were. But we kind of came off a little bit here. You know what we got to do? We forgot to do it at the beginning, and I am fiending, baby. It's time to lock and load. We got to throw in a dippy dap for the lippy lap.
Okay.
Shout out Skilly Goat Gillen.
Gilly Goat.
And the rest of Panjwai's bastards.
Let's go, baby. All right.
So Harris, I think it's fair to say that our first tour in Iraq was probably the exact opposite of that pair jumping experience that you had with Cujo.
Yeah.
What did it feel like, and how did you feel getting back from that Iraq tour and not having a cab like some of the older NCOs?
Bro, you just like, that's your whole thing. Like, you're going to try to make that happen for yourself. You want to come back looking like you went over there, been there, done that, seen that, got the badge. And then it was just like, you get your little ARCOM and stuff, and you just literally saw nothing. You know, like you see some things that as a young male, 20 years old, 21, that you're like, damn, you know, like I was there for that. Like, well, we may or may not have been around an Iraqi hospital at some point, not sitting on top of it at any, you know, on an OP, nothing like that. But remember when the Iraqi army dudes came flooding in, bro, like honking the Hummer horns and stuff, trying to get people's attention. And it was that mass casualty situation where they came in, they hit an IED, legs blown off, arm blown off, like barely hanging on. And you're out there as a young private and trying to help with a mass casualty situation, putting tourniquets on people and everything else. So you get those kind of experiences, but it was like, I wasn't there for it. I just seeing the aftermath, you know. I just felt like you did go over there, and you know, you made a difference because you did your patrols and stuff, and you were always, you know, alert and ready. But it's like they knew our assets. Like Al Qaeda, I've always told people there's two different types of terrorists or terrorist organizations. I felt like Al Qaeda, they would want to take pop shots at you over, over the mud hut wall and run, and you would never see them. To me, Afghanistan was different, bro. Like, those are fighters. They want to fight to the death. One of y'all are going to die. Like, if it gets kicked off, somebody's going to die. They're not scared of getting bombs dropped on their head and stuff. They're ready for it. You know what I'm saying? So to me, Iraq and Afghanistan were two totally different situations. Like, and by no means, I know there's going to be some veterans from Iraq that was there in Fallujah and everything else that says, oh, don't downgrade what we did. I don't at all. I think Iraq, the height of the Iraqi war, what some of you guys went through, insane. But by the time we got there, I felt like it was like it had all died down. Like, the threat, everybody that went before us, they took care of the mass of the threat. Like, we were there, we were the cleanup crew. Come and finish up training the Iraqi army, things like that. So it was a different experience for me personally. That's why Afghanistan, now you're complacent because you're used to Iraq, and you go to Afghanistan and you're thinking like, okay, here we go again, another shitty deployment, and then it kicks off a totally different way.
So what were you thinking? When we found out that our whole unit was going to be going to Afghanistan, what was going through your mind at that point?
Same thing, man. Like, I'll never forget, we were ready, we did all the training, we were getting ready to deploy. And I feel like it was the week of, and it could be the night of, before we deployed, before we got on that plane. Is it not when Osama bin Laden got killed? Because you're going over there, you're like, I'm going to find him. Like, I'm going to be in the unit that finds Osama bin Laden, because we're going down to, Kandahar. He's around there somewhere. He's in those mountains. We're going to go, because we didn't know exactly where we were going, but we knew we were going to Kandahar, essentially, that AO. I'm like, yeah, our unit's going to find him. We're going to be the ones that find Osama bin Laden. And I'll never forget seeing the streets here full of everybody celebrating and stuff, watching the news from Fairbanks that they had killed Osama bin Laden. And then I felt like that was the day before we got on the plane. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, now, like, who the fuck are we going to go get now? And you hear all these news and you're watching it and shit, and you're like, damn, this is going to be another shitty deployment. This is going to be literally sitting on another Cobra all day long on QRF, or, you're sitting there on a guard tower. And that's what I was like, there's going to be no mission. There's going to be nothing. Like, everything's going to fall apart. And I'll never forget that. I'm just like, damn, Osama's dead. Like, what the fuck are we going for? Like, can we just cancel this thing? Like, didn't happen. So I was not prepared for what Afghanistan was.
And before, so I think it's important to point out that there was only a handful of us that actually did the Iraq deployment, got an entirely new crew, and then went into the Afghanistan deployment. As a matter of fact, most of the leadership changed between at least well, I guess all of the leadership basically changed between Iraq and Afghanistan. So we started to build like leadership roles in Iraq. We were basically just, here's the missions given to us, let's go do the mission. But in the transition between Iraq and Afghanistan, we had to start developing our leadership skills. We started to fall into those junior leadership positions. And we really, by the time we went to Afghanistan, we had new Joes that we were in charge of, and now their life was reliant on us, and we had to kind of step up above. Now we're the ones being taken care of, to now we have some responsibility and people to take care of. And when we went to Afghanistan, when we left off to Afghanistan, where did we go, Casey, originally? Do you remember?
I forget the name of it.
Do you remember?
It was Fob Frontenac, wasn't it?
Was it Frontenac?
I think it was Frontenac.
No, I think Frontenac was where Bravo Troop was.
Yeah, but is that not where we went in transit out to? Because we were it was Kandahar at first, but then we went to a little outpost somewhere, like. Maybe what in Frontenac? Because remember, we got the address before we even deployed, because we sent our big tough boxes and stuff over there with our X boxes and everything else. And I can't for the life of me think where. I think we sent it to Frontenac. Maybe that's why it's resonating with me.
Originally, we were supposed to go to Frontenac, I believe. Yeah. And then we got to Kandahar and they changed it, and they said we were going to be patrolling the airstrip or something. Yeah. And then and so we were at. Yeah, we were at that FOB for like 3 days, and it was awesome. There was
Yeah.
real food. There was real cooks. There was gyms, basketball courts, giant paved motor pool, air conditioned tents. The chews were amazing, and we were there for 3 days, and I was like, this is, at least if it's going to be like our Iraq tour, at least we're not going to live in
We
squalor.
have things. We can call home. We can get on the internet. Fuck. We probably get on the internet from our computers in our tent here.
Right.
It was set up like that. So we thought we had it made. But you want to know how I remember the story of finding out where we were going? And you guys were there. Casey, you were there for sure. We were in the same platoon at that time.
Yeah. Yep.
Remember, it was oh, our platoon sergeant Sloat. He came in the tent after they go to their little meeting, they go to their briefing, and he comes in, and Sergeant Sloat's like, "All right, guys, gather around." And we're all gathering around. He's like, "I know where we're going," and we're like, "Fuck, I hope it's here," because we thought there was an opportunity to stay there, and then they were trying to figure out like the logistics of other troops and stuff, trying to see where people are going. And we're like, "Yes, we drew the good straw. We're gonna stay here. We got all this. This is gonna be epic." And Sloat gets us all around and goes, "Hey guys, I know where we're going. We finally found out it's locked down. This is concrete." He said, "I want you all to go to the MWR tonight and call home and tell your families you love them because we're all going to die." And I was like, what the fuck? I said, he did not just say that to us. And I'm
Yes, I remember.
Dude, I remember it.
We were all in a circle behind the tent when he said that.
Yes.
I remember.
but you know Sloat, and you're like, is this for real or is he joking? Like, because there was two different Sloats. He was either pissed off or he was like funny as fuck. Like, dude was hilarious. I love Sergeant Sloat. To this day, he's one of the best leaders I had.
He was the man.
Yeah. But I'm like, and he's like, no, guys, for real. Like, go call your families. He said, we're all going to die. He's like, I'm not happy about it, but probably the first day, like probably when we get out there, it's going to happen quick. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like,
I remember Sloat was pissed because he was about to retire.
Yeah.
He didn't even want to go on the tour because he was already in his 20th year.
Yeah. Yep. And then he said, so we're like, well, okay, so where? And he's like, Panjwai. Okay, that doesn't mean anything to me. What's significant about Panjwai? He's like, it's just the exact same place Mullah Omar formed the Taliban. He's like, it's the birthplace of the Taliban. He's like, they still want it. It's still like a very significant place to them that they're trying to hold on to. And he's like, and they've got a very strong presence there. He's like, realistically, he's like, some of us are going to die. He's like, we're not all coming back from this deployment. I can tell you all that right now. And I'm thinking like, dude, this dude, he's just trying to get us riled up. And my thinking was, I was like, I get what he's doing. Because in my young mind, still, I kind of still respect the approach he took there. I know it seems kind of harsh to some people. But the reason I thought he did it was so we wouldn't get complacent, like on the ride out there and stuff. You're going down, Route Hyena and all this stuff that, is, watch Netflix. You'll see all about Route Hyena. But I felt like he was doing that because he wanted us at the peak of alertness. He didn't want us to be complacent rolling down there and stuff. And I was a gunner at that time. I was looking at everything. Like that whole trip down there, I was just so fucking alert because I was thinking like, dude, any minute now somebody's gonna, throw a grenade at us or shoot an RPG at us. I'm thinking like, dude, this is legit the way he approached it. So I think, it seems kind of harsh, like how he approached it or whatever to some people, but I appreciate it because I was ready when the shit finally started kicking off. I wasn't complacent rolling around like looking at the bazaar and stuff like, oh, what can I buy? Do they have wild tigers in there or what? Like I wasn't looking at the wrong things. So I still appreciate that approach. But that's how we found out. I'll never forget that day. Hey, go call home because we're all gonna die.
So as we're rolling in our first convoy from Kandahar into Panjwai, what was going through your mind? Because for me, the first thing I noticed was the heat. It was way hotter in Panjwai than Kandahar City.
Yeah, I definitely felt that, and to this day, man, the desert out there. It was kind of like the Mojave Desert when we went to NTC, but it's still a little different. Dustier. It was just, like, I don't know, it just purgatory, man. That's what I was thinking the whole way out there. I'm like, damn, this is literally purgatory. Like we're trapped here for a year, and I'm thinking, but you know, in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, well, you know, at least it's not like as shitty as the buildings that we were in. They might be tents or something, but at least they're air conditioned. Like it's better living conditions than we had in Iraq. So I was thinking we were going from one thing set up like that to another super fob. I thought the in between point A to point B, like we just got to get there and we'll be back in the lap of luxury. No.
And then what happened when we rolled into Zangabad? What was going through your mind?
Oh, well, when we first got to Zangabad, we roll in the gates and stuff, and I'm like, okay, like, where's the rest of it? I'm thinking like this little thing, and then you see, you know, all the Canadians are there with their, you know, LMTV or their variant of the Striker, and they got their little 25 mics up there, but they're all sitting up there on OP looking over the HESCO barrier walls and stuff. I'm like, okay, so like back to the same thing. We're going to be doing our own security. I see. Because we kind of got spoiled. We kind of skipped that towards the end of Iraq. Well, we had the Ugandans come with triple canopy. So our duties there kind of got taken over. So we kind of got a little bit more off time in Iraq to where we weren't going around the clock, like missions, QRF, and then having to do our own security and stuff. So that was nice when civilian contractors came in, triple canopy with all the Ugandan, mercenary soldiers or whatever you want to call them at that time. But that was nice. But when I got there, I instantly knew. I was like, okay, well, we're going back to you know, providing our own security. So we're gonna run missions. We're gonna go back doing QRF, and then we're gonna go straight up on a wall to do pull security for ourselves. So I was like, that kind of sucks. And then we get there, and we're literally standing around this little like moon dust field that they call our you know, I don't even know. It wasn't
Motor
even
pool, right?
yeah, but it wasn't even a true motor pool, bro. It was just like park where you can get your shit in and stuff, because there were still the Canadians and stuff there. So you're like, oh my god, I'm just standing in this little moon dust field. Like, where are we going? Like, I'm ready to go in and see where I'm going to be living. Like, let's get this show on the road. And nobody knew. Like the infantry units that we were getting attached to, they were just like, oh, you guys are scouts? Just stand by. We'll get somebody to help y'all out. Like, we'll find you a place. And they didn't even know where we were going. When we got there, they had no clue logistically where we were going to go. And I'm like, I don't want to live in this Striker, like, around the clock for a whole fucking year. Y'all need to find somewhere where I can go, like, sleep or something. And I remember, you know, the commander, Slow, everybody else going, and finally got it worked out. And then they took us around. We locked everything up. They took us around, and we went to pick up cots, right, to carry off to the dress tents that we had. And Sergeant Sloat said, all right, if you're E5 and below, go ahead and grab you up a cot. Everybody else, sorry, like, there's no cots available. So we're like, what the fuck? And we get there, and it's like, there was some cots for some people, and they were all broken. So you're like jerry rigging them to stay up, because they're all just like the ass and trash or whatever was just left out there. And then we get there and we walk into this tent, and the first thing I notice is, oh my god, I'm about to die. Finally, the tent. Let's get in there. And we walk in, and there's no fucking AC. There's no air conditioner. There's nothing. And you're like, oh my god, this is a sauna. Like, I'm going to go back and sleep on the Striker ramp. This is ridiculous. Like, it was so hot when I walked in that. I was like, I instantly went from, I'm about to have a heat stroke to, wow, you just threw me in a sauna. And I'm thinking, like, this can't be real, dude. This has just got to be like a couple of days until the Canadians leave, and then we'll move over something. I was like, this is going to be bad. And remember, Casey, like, it was so hot, we wouldn't even sleep in there. We would go out to the shelters, to the concrete barriers and stuff for RPGs and shit. Like, we'd go out there and sleep in those little tunnels, because we got some kind of airflow through there. Like, you got some kind of a breeze. And we were trying everything. We were hanging ponchos up all above the wall, because we're like, at least it'll be a barrier. It will get through the tent, hit the ponchos, and hold the heat up top, is what we were thinking. We were trying everything we could think of.
Everything.
Nothing. I mean, there was holes, like, they were built on a pad, right? Like, these tents were built on a you know, plywood slab and stuff like that. So it was hard floors. There's holes everywhere. You always heard about camel spiders and shit.
I don't even know what kind of fucking bugs were over there, bro. Like shit that I've never seen before, crawling up through these fucking holes in the ground. And I'm like, and we're sleeping down here in the tents with them and stuff. I'm like, if I'm gonna die, I want to do it with a breeze out there in the little shelter, right? Like in the shade. Like I'm gonna go out here and live with the creatures out there. I don't want to be in here and die in, of a heat stroke while something one of these little pit vipers take me out, So it was a totally different situation. When we got there, bro, I was like, this is going to be the shittiest deployment of all time. All time.
And at what point do you remember that we went from thinking it was going to be the shittiest deployment because it was so hot, and our mission cycle was intense too. I think we were on mission essentially for like 24 hours, and then we would get 6 hours off.
Yeah,
back on another 20 for rotation. But when to you did the mission become dangerous?
So, all right. So we're sitting out there in the concrete bunker, right? Like we're trying to get some air. We got our kits pulled off, and we're just all like leaning on our kits and like just dead. We're like, oh my God, we've moved our whole life from the strikers all the way to this shithole. And by then we're just dead. And I'm thinking, I want to say it was like the first day, maybe the second day, but we're sitting out there and we're finally getting some breeze, and we're kind of like trying to figure out what we're going to do in our downtime because there's nothing there. Another place where we had nothing, like work out, great, figure out, lift up, water can, fuel cans, whatever, no gym. And we're sitting there like, what are we going to do? And we're just talking, we're playing cards out in that little bunker, and you hear it. Boom. It was like a loud pop. It wasn't a bomb. It wasn't a mortar. And you're like, oh, fuck. I said, that was like a gunshot. So we're throwing our kits on and shit, and we're out trying to secure our little perimeter. I was like, that was close. That wasn't like outside the wall. That sounded like it was here. That sounded like it was right around this tent. Yeah, dude, you remember? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, bro, was that a negligent discharge? Everybody's running around trying to find it. They found it, boy. The HESCO thing that we stayed in just, to get some breeze was here. There was a porta potty on the outside of that. And somebody went in that porta potty after everything died down, because we're like, I guess it was a negligent discharge. Like, we don't know what was going on. Somebody goes to, I don't even know who it was. Maybe not in our unit, but somebody went to that porta potty. And
I thought it was slow.
It could have been slow, yeah. But he goes to the porta potty and found the source. It was one of the Canadians, bro, that we were there to relieve, blasted itself in that porta potty right outside where we were staying. And I'm thinking to myself, that's when it got real, because I was like, dude, if it's that bad here that he couldn't wait another week to get home, like, this is going to be a shitty deployment. Like, what? And then I got to think, maybe he's got that hunger for war, right? Maybe he's mad he's leaving. Maybe he's mad he's redeploying, going home, like maybe he wanted to stay and now he don't get that opportunity, and everything he's ever known, which is combat, now is getting ripped away from him, and he just wasn't ready to leave, Maybe I'm in my head, I'm just trying to process it, because I'm like, a week away, bro, 1 week away, and you commit right as you're doing your right seat rides to change over. In my head, I was just thinking, this one's gonna be rough, guys. Like, this is gonna be totally different than what we're used to. So that was when it got real to me. It wasn't even incoming enemy fire. It was that.
That's a good point. And I actually totally forgot all about that at the beginning. Yeah. What a tragedy, honestly. Yeah. But you bring up a good point. Like, this dude's about to go home, and for whatever reason, he decided to delete it. And like, that's an eye-opening thing, because you hear about it, but then like when it's right there and you see it and you're like, holy shit, the reality kind of sets in.
Yeah. And I think it's fair to say, in a lot of ways, that what the Canadians had to go through in Panjwai was more challenging than what we went through in a lot of ways. Like, for example, they didn't have the same type of air support and even our air support sucked for us, but it was 1,000 times better than what the Canadians had.
And to be fair, American, we had good air support. We just never had access to good air support, because it was always in another tick somewhere else, like in the same area, but we could never pull them away to help us out because it was already spoken for. Like, there was so much going on in that AO that it was like, hope we don't need them today, boys, because like you could just see them just constantly, gun runs back and forth from Kandahar. It's like, hopefully we can get some help if we need it.
And here, so you've touched on this a little bit, just the amount of ticks out there. But in your first couple days in Panjwai, as we're starting to run missions, we finished left seat, right seat rides. When did you kind of like come to realize, like, holy crap, there's a ton going on here, a ton of actions? It seemed to me, and maybe this is my perspective, but it seemed like there was multiple ticks every single day.
Yeah, like, and that's what it was. It got to a point there early in the deployment, man, that you were just like, we don't even have to wait for it. Like, it's coming. We just don't know when. And it got to a point every time we rolled outside the wire, in my eyes, it was like, what's going to happen today? Not when it's going to happen. It's like, is it going to be a small one or is it going to be a big one? Like, is this going to be a small little skirmish, a little firefight, a little IED that took a tire out, or is it going to be blow the whole front side of a striker off? You know, like, you just didn't know. You weren't prepared, and you never knew what the day was going to be like. You know what I'm saying? You never knew what to prepare for. But I do remember that early on in that deployment, we all decided, like, 7 mags is not going to cut it here. Like, we need more ammo, which was really hard for us to get a hold of, because the infantry unit that was already out there, they wanted all the ammo because they knew they needed it. So we were like, bro, we need at least 7 mags worth. And they sent us, I felt like when we rolled out there, I felt like we rolled out from Kandahar to the wire barely able to, you know, survive if we got in a big tick, because we were distributing ammo there at CAF before. Like, I think if our main guns and stuff needed more ammo, we'd be in trouble, because I felt like it was barely rolling out with enough to get us there, you know.
Well, also, we were coming from Iraq, where the Mark 19s were not allowed to be used.
Yeah, exactly.
So while we were at CAF, we were kind of thinking in our own minds that we're not even going to use these Mark 19s. We'll end up putting 240 Bravos up there in its place. And then I think once we got out to Panjwai, we realized that the Mark 19 was one of the most effective weapons.
Yes, it was a lifesaver, man. That 40 millimeter grenades for me, boy, they life saving in multiple situations. I mean, one in the riverbed, nothing you remember, man. Like, to me, you wanted to roll out no matter how bad you were going to hurt at the end of the day, carrying all that. Your AG needed tons of extra rounds for your gunners, and then I personally, I don't think I rolled outside the wire without 10 mags on me somewhere, you know, like 7, that's good. You're going to go through that quick. So I wanted at least 10 magazines on me. Some of us look just goofy as hell. And the guys that I wanted to make fun of, because we got these leg drop holsters and stuff with magazines in them. And you're like, bro, you're just trying to look cool. No, you needed that shit out there. Like, you needed to be able to get to ammo quickly. And that's how I honestly felt. So as goofy as some people looked, I get it, bro. Like, people ordering all their little high-speed leg drop holsters, 4 magazines on their leg and everything else. Like, you're going to use it. So kind of hard in country to make fun of somebody for trying to be a Geardo, you know?
They did. The Geardos caught a lot of flack, bro. Yep. But at the end of the day, everything that they were adding to their tool set was something that was going to be useful for when we came into contact and had to enter combat. Yeah. So, and that's a change from Iraq too, because in Iraq we had to wear the standard issue boots. We couldn't deviate in any way from what was the standard, which I think is wrong, because, like, for instance, when we were able to buy the different varieties of combat boots, right? Yeah. As opposed to wearing the standard issue ones, that made all of the walking and stuff dismounting that we did, it made it much more bearable. Yeah. And so while they did look goofy, it was the right idea to upgrade your equipment so you could be a better war fighter in those moments.
No.
Yeah. And go ahead, Casey.
No, you go ahead, Cujo.
I was okay. So we're still at Zengabad at this point, and I remember, for me, when things felt real, is I remember it must have been within like the first handful of days that we were there, but the Canadians were doing a dismounted patrol right outside the village, and they got lit up, and one of the one of the Canadian soldiers got injured, and they throw on the Mitch. They got, because they were out tanning. They got no no t-shirt on.
Yeah.
They throw on their IOTVs or whatever we were wearing at the time. Their Mitch. They take the gator out there, however far, a mile, whatever, out there, and Kazovac, the soldier, back to the base. And I was like, damn, these dudes, the Canadians, bro, they were pretty gangster. And I've always thought of them as like the friendly, like weaklings, but they were pretty hardcore.
So I tell everybody like this, because that's a good point. Everybody thinks Canada is like, yeah, it's Canada. We're not really worried about you. And we're not. And let's be serious. In the big scheme of things, Canada, we'd run through you, bro. Like, I don't care. I'm going to give you prop here in a second. So I'm gonna tear you down to build you back up. So if there was a war ever and we needed that land, we could take it. I'm just saying, whether we want to get into that or not, whatever. I like the Canadians. We had some good, good time over there, but you'd get run through. But with that said, those weren't normal Canadians that we were with. They were in Panjwai, and they held that AO from the time the war kicked off. So it was Canadian area of operation. So specifically, the book Lions of Kandahar, that was wrote because the Canadians came under fire, and 5th Special Forces Group went in there and had to help them take Combat Outpost Cobra, or PBSG, Patrol Base Berwin Gar. All right, so we helped them overthrow the Taliban there, and that they say was one of the bloodiest battles of the entire Afghan war. So that was a big deal. But the Canadians held on to that AO after that battle until we got there. We were the first conventional soldiers. 5th Group beat us there. They helped lock it down, but we were the first conventional unit that was coming there to take over from the Canadians. So they were used to that AO from the get-go, but they're not regular guys. They're not regular infantry soldier stuff. They were called their recce's, which, to my understanding, the recce's are literally their special operations, essentially. So those guys were a little bit different. Like, I know, talking to them, they got protein like issued to them. We didn't have to like order. We ordered our own shit. They got, I don't know if they got steroids. I don't want to speak out or not. They were giants, bro. All of them, just giants.
They were all jacked.
Nothi, you were big at that time, bro. Like, you was pretty solid, bro. And I remember walking to chow with you, and we were all in good shape. Like, I wasn't like you, like just a brick shit house ready to bench press a truck. But I'm walking with you, and I'm like, okay, let's go to chow. And these dudes are walking by, and I will never fucking forget this dude, this Canadian, as this group walks by us, and they're all like 6'3", and they look down at us, and they're like, huh, la petite Americans. And I was like, bitch, you better watch your mouth, boy. Like, I don't care how big you are. Don't call me El Petite American. Like, don't disrespect me. But I'm thinking to myself, like, man, I hope you don't kick my ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's a big dude. But they were giants, bro. Like, all of them. They were in the best shape, like everything. And you get there and you're like, dang, this is what we got to compete with. So they do have some badasses there. Like, Canada, they got, there's some war fighters there for sure, but you can't match the U.S. Come on, let's be serious.
It's not even a competition, bro. America, the greatest, the strongest, the bravest. That's not to take away from the Van Dews, because that's who we were there with, right? That was the unit, the Van Dews. Yeah. And I think they were like they were part of their elite military, I think, that unit. But the Canadians were badass. And so you mentioned that this was their AO. We kind of were the first Americans back there to take it over. Yeah. And our time was short-lived at Zengabad, and then we went to PBSG, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that transition happened relatively quick. I mean, we might have been in Zengabad for a month, maybe getting, established. But when that change happened, clearly they're going to wait until we get that dress tent somewhat livable and like finally get an AC unit in it and stuff, just to rip it out from under us. Cause we're like, oh my God, air conditions now. Finally, they got us hooked up. Right. And then not like days after we get air conditioning running and stuff, they're like, hey, pack your shit up. We're moving again. I'm like, bro, this is a nightmare. This is a bad joke. This is a nightmare. Like, what do you mean we're moving? And in my head, I was like, an infantry unit's coming, right? You can go kick the scouts back down to the shit tent, right? That's what's going on. But no, we're going to a totally new place, less than 5 miles down the road. Like, come on, man. Like, really? Yeah. So I remember that.
And when we made that move and we got up to Patrol Base Spurwin Gar, I'll never forget my first time going up there. We're going up the mountain, and we get there and I see these concrete buildings and they say, "You guys are now living here." And we walked in there and these concrete buildings, I swear to God, was 30 degrees cooler than what it was outside. And I thought we were in paradise.
Yes. So I was getting there as well. That's a good point. Like you think, oh my God, we're going back to worse because that's all we were used to from the day we got there. We had amazing, and then we had like the lowest of the low, and then you're like, oh my God, you're going to move us again. So we just assume we're going back to the lowest of the low after we made that better, after we get the place livable. Then I was like, here we go to do it all over again. And then to our surprise, we get there and I was like, oh, wow, this is nice. They had bunk beds built for us and stuff already. And like, you're not sleeping on janky cots anymore. Like, I was like, okay, hey, upgrade. I like this. This is awesome. Like, I was here for it.
Well, and Harris, I guess it was before we made the move to Patrol Base Spurwin Gar. But can you tell the audience about your first firefight in country?
Bro, there's so many. The rolling outside the wire down Hyena, that was it, man. Like the pop shots and stuff, and then it's more open than you would think. Like as far as coming from Iraq, but the first firefights were literally coming from the not palm groves, the field, like the great field, the vines and everything, and then you're returning fire out there and stuff, and you're like, who's going to shoot at us from the great fields, And then you realize you're not effective at all out there. Those fields and those berms that are built up for those grape vineyards and stuff, you're not punching through it with all the 50 cal that you brought out there. You're not getting through it. So they knew. I mean, it was more fortified than a castle. I felt like without air support, you're not killing those dudes. Like they're going to shoot at you, and you're a sitting duck. Even though you're in an armored vehicle or whatever, you either have to do what they want and dismount to go get them, and then they're dragging you into, a dismounted IED where they're going to blow you to smithereens, or
there goes college soccer.
Yeah, you're just going to keep their head down with, there it goes. Or you're just going to keep their heads down and talk to a predator from Vegas or something to shoot a hellfire at them. It's like, that was what stood out to me is like, we're using munitions that should be used on like armor somewhere, to shoot at people in groves of grapes. It's like we're using some serious munitions just to kill these dudes because you're ineffective essentially, like without the air support that you couldn't always get because they were helping other people in ticks. It was almost like stirring up an ant bed, bro, and you're just out there, like I'm better than you. I'm going to step on all the little ants, but they're everywhere. It's going to take you so much time to really eradicate the problem that you just felt like, yeah, we're going to win essentially in the end, but there's just so much around us happening that it kind of set in. Like the first firefight, that's what I remember most. And then the little, I don't even know what they use them for, to dry out like grapes and produce or weed or whatever. The little buildings, the huts out there, and there's a billion little windows. But all you're doing in those firefights is trying to walk you around through those windows and hope you're picking the right one, because they shoot at you and they move around, and then you're like, let's shoot that whole building up, but you got to get in the windows because is mud, but these rounds are not getting through it, like not happening. So that's what really stood out to me, is that we have big 50 caliber belt fed machine guns, Mark 19s, and those buildings were still standing after we got in all out just mayhem firefights from those things. And it's like, how is that still standing? Like, I don't understand how those little mud huts were standing after what we did to them. So
yeah,
wow.
and so the audience may not know this, but Panjwai is a little unique of a battlefield. It's not what many people might expect. It's extremely rural. There is a decent sized population there, so it's not rural with no people, but it's rural in the sense that there's no city. It's made up of multiple villages, and these villages are deeply interrelated. They're very familial. familial. And when we were on Route Hyena, that's a road that's elevated and kind of silhouettes your position against enemy fighters. And alongside each side of Route Hyena is basically nothing but open grape fields with mounds that are, anywhere between 8 inches and a foot thick of just highly dense
rows of them. Just
Yeah.
you never even knew what row it was coming from at first, because like you're on patrol, and the way they ambushed you, it was like boom, first truck got hit, IED or whatever, and then you're getting shot at from behind, and you're taking incoming fire. So the last 2 trucks have to spin around to suppress that, and then now they're hitting you from both sides of the palm grove, or not the palm grove, the grape fields. So I'm just like, I mean, the Taliban, way more complex. Like they had more of a plan. They were more organized, I felt like. So it was definitely more of what you think you're training for when you're in basic and OSIT and all that. Like that's what you're training for, not what we experienced on the first deployment. So your brain had to catch up after that. The first couple of months, you're like, dang, this is crazy. Like this is literally what you read about every day. And I'll just never forget, like looking at the dudes after some of these missions and some of these firefights where you're down to your last mag, like literally, and you're thinking like, okay, we can't get air support. We've got a truck down. We can't leave it. We gotta hook this thing up and drag it back. And you're sitting there thinking like, well, when I run out of ammo and I have no air support, what do we do? Just pull the hatches and hope for the best, or what? But luckily it all worked out. Like we never were in like a Fury situation where we're like hunkered down in the trucks. But it felt like that sometimes. Like that was what was going through my mind all the time, is do we have enough munitions? Like I'll never forget coming back off mission and seeing Perret, which is probably one of the hardest workers I've ever seen in my life. Like Perret, for as small framed as he was back then, that bro, if you ask him to carry a 240 all day long, a saw, whatever, he's going to do it. Like that is a good soldier, like one of the best.
One of the best.
And I just remember seeing, after the firefight and stuff, and him sitting there. You remember the picture? He's sitting on the bunk bed in the floor, and he's just down like this, and he's just beat, bro. Sweat everywhere, just dirty, and he just looks like he's about to die because he's so wore out from all that shit. And it's just like, it's that picture I'll always remember. I'm like, that picture sums up that deployment. Like, 100%. Perret in that picture sums that deployment up, of how it was just like every day you were just wore out and just beat down and just over it by the end of the day. So it crazy. I can't even describe what was going through my head, because it all happened so fast that you're just thinking more ahead to the next one. You're not trying to log everything just because it's just how much worse can it get tomorrow? Hopefully we get a break, so definitely crazy.
And Harris, I felt like some of the craziest missions at that time period when we first moved to PBSG were the riverbed missions. What do you remember about the riverbed?
Bro, the riverbed was the craziest firefight of my life one of them days. And I know you remember, because we were right beside each other for that one.
Yes,
but
we were.
I was a gunner at first, but at some point there, because I have a mouth on me and I was feuding with maybe some leaders at the time. At some point, I transitioned off the truck, and now I was a dismount. So I was out there with y'all because, it was almost like a punishment. And, okay, you go patrol all day. And so I was like, okay, fine, whatever. So I'm rolling, and we're walking around, and I'm just, carrying all the ammo that I know we need. I'm John Wayne in it because I didn't like wearing a Kevlar anyway.
You were carrying a ton of ammo for me, like 700 rounds, I believe.
Yeah. I don't even think it was our 3-day pack. I think I had a rucksack at that time.
Yes.
It looked smaller, but I was carrying a rucksack because I needed my ammo, because I wanted ammo. And then I was carrying the 320, so I had the 40 millimeter grenade strapped all over me. And then I was your AG, so I was carrying, which made me mad. And I'll tell you, I'm not talking about people specifically, but I was your AG, which was great, because I was like, no, that's my boy. I'm gonna go with him. Like, I'll be there with him. Whatever. I'm glad I'm his AG. But I'm sitting there thinking to myself, they made me carry all this shit for him because it's a punishment, right? You got big ass team leader right out there that came over, that wasn't a scout by trade, but he transferred over right before that deployment, and he walks around like the Canadians, right? This big old dude, and you're like, okay, all right, and you're like, why is he not carrying all his ammo and shit? Like, this dude's a juggernaut, and I'm sitting here broke back. So I got my Kevlar unhinged and stuff. But like I said, like even in that day, it's kind of like proving my dad wrong. Like, oh, you're gonna try to punch me? I got to carry all this shit. Fine. But I'm over there. I'm struggling a little bit because that's a lot of weight, man. When you're carrying that many 240 rounds and then all your own ammo and everything else on top
And
of it,
literally 700 of my rounds
through moon dust. You're sitting there. You're trampling through moon dust. You can barely walk in. And so I'm John Wayne in it, bro. I'm like, just chin strap. I don't like whatever. I'm like, they can give me Article 15, whatever. I'm unbuttoning this shit. So I'm walking and we're patrolling that day. We were looking for like goat trail, goat pass, like infill routes, how they're getting ammo in there. So we're just looking for just avenues they can approach. Cause it's a barren wasteland, bro. Nothing's out there. And it is a riverbed. So you got to think it's a dried up riverbed. Now, I guess I should mention that it's not a riverbed. It's a dried up riverbed. So it's a desert. So they've got concealment. So if they were to attack us, they have concealment because they're in the riverbed. And I will never forget, we're walking along, we're doing right. We're spread out. You know, you're good ways ahead of me, but there's nowhere. We're out there in the middle of nowhere with very little cover, if any. None. I mean, we're just out there. You got mud hut walls and stuff on your right. And then on the left, you got just nothing but open terrain with you know, ravines and stuff they can get down in because it's a dried up riverbed. I'm like, this is a bad situation. This is a bad setup. I know we can see forever away. Like, we can see something coming in. Their weapons probably can't even reach us because we're out here in the open. So I get it. But when the rounds could reach us is when I was like, oh shit, we just fucked up and walked right into this because we're walking and then I hear it. It opens up and you hear the round and you're like, oh fuck, that's RPK, you know, something that is a machine gun. And so I don't, you know, it got real serious. So everybody hits the ground because it was close. Like this, when they opened up on us that day, I was like, that's it. They got the drop on us. We're done. Like, we have no cover, bro. So we all hit the ground. Nothing, thank God, flings the 240 over. We didn't even see them. At first, we're just like, we got to return fire somewhere because we don't even know where it's coming from. But Nothi slings the 240 over and he just starts suppressing the whole barren wasteland out there. And I'm like, thank God, because it stopped for a second. And then I'm trying to get my bearings. Well, when the rounds started coming back in, my Kevlar had already rolled off because I'm John Wayne in it. So I'm like, looking around for it. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get like just tore up for leaving a Kevlar out here. So I'm trying to grab that. I'm trying to put it on. I'm like on the ground still with, 700 rounds of 240 on my back. And it's like, I'm like rolling it over, trying to stand up so I can move up to Nothi because I know he's going through rounds quick as shit. And I'm like, I got to get him this ammo. And then the rounds start coming back in. And I'll never forget this, bro. I'm laying there getting my Kevlar on, about to move. And I see the rounds. You can't see the rounds, but you can hear them coming in and you're like, oh God dang, like that is close. If they repeat that a foot over and then you see it almost looks like something out of a movie. The round coming in and the moon dust flying up. You could see the round going through that moon dust. You could see the trail and it was right in front of my face, bro. That's the closest I've ever been to death. And I'll say that to this day. Seeing that round pass the moon dust right in front of me and it's rounds, you can hear it coupled with it slinging the moon dust up everywhere. You're like, oh my God, we are sitting ducks out here. We have no cover, nothing to get behind. So I finally make it up to Nothi and I'm getting the ammo out. I'm trying to feed rounds into him and he's suppressing this. I saw two dudes sitting there on their machine gun. They had, RPK probably sitting up there, but they had it elevated. Well, guess what? They're standing down in this riverbed thing and you could barely see them. They got the gun up here and they've got cover. Like, you can't hit them, right? Like, nothing hit one. Well, I know that. Nothing hit one. You can't hit them.
I know it's coming next though, and this is when you stepped up and changed the complete situation,
bro. I was thinking to myself, I'm like, we got to do something, like, because they were a gunner team just like me and Nothi were, and I'm saying, oh my God, like their rounds are coming in, our rounds are going back, but we're kind of in a stalemate, but we're in the worst situation here because we're out there sitting ducks. We are, you know, no cover whatsoever. All our guys, they're returning fire the best they can, but it's everything they can do to try to find a little hump of something to hide behind because we're just so out there in the middle of like nothing, like no cover whatsoever. And, you know, we had a really good LT and he was coordinating with the trucks. He was getting the trucks out there, but I'm like, shit, we got to do something. Nothi took one of those dudes out that was on the gun, but his buddy climbs back on the gun and he's still returning fire. But it's hard. I mean, to Nothi's credit, bro, hitting any of them is his life change. That's a game changer because it at least lets them know like you're not invincible, right? But the rounds kept coming and I'm like, shit, like, what are we going to do? And then it hit me all of a sudden. I'm like, damn, I'm wearing 40 millimeter grenades, bro. Like, what am I sitting out here for trying to return fire with an M4 and, you know, we're burning through ammo quick as shit with this. I said, I'm literally wearing grenades. So I pull that shit off my back, that little 320. And I'm like, shit, like I'm trying to range them and stuff. And I'm like, dude, there's no way to even tell like how many of them there are. So I'm like, okay, I got a game plan. I put those leaf sights up on that thing and I'm like, I'm gonna range them to the best of my ability. Well, the first round that I sent, I was like, oh, them leaf sights are actually accurate, bro. Like you think those 320s, you're like, what is this dinky little polymer thing? Bro, the range on that thing is really accurate. So I'm like, oh, game changer, right? Like now I know how far I'm going to make these things fly, right? So I just started walking 40 millimeter grenades in from the outskirts and I was walking it in on the position. Well, finally everything stopped, right? The machine gun stuff stopped. No more gun out there. And that one, I remember the LT finally, when everything died down, our LT, he came walking by and he's like, all right, the trucks are out here. Like, we're going to egress to the trucks, and he's pulling smoke and he's throwing smoke to, you know, get our exfil covered. And we walk out there to the trucks. And by that time we finally got some air support, and it was the little birds that came in, and we had the little bitty, you know, dudes and the little birds flying over down low and everything. And then they just told us, they're like, yeah, y'all already got them. Like they're out there, like there's nothing left. Like yeah, they're blown to smithereens. Like, that situation's done, right? So that, to me, that was like the first one where it hit you like, dang, we just like literally took some dudes out. And you're thinking to yourself like, dang, you always wonder when you shoot in these mud huts and stuff, you're like, oh, what's my body count? You know, you're thinking about it, but that's the one where it was real. It was like, damn, that was so close that we almost lost our lives today. Like that was the one that's always going to stand out to me, because that was the closest that I felt that I was to death. I'll never forget that moon dust, man. Like, and and the panic of thinking like, how do we fix this situation? Because we're in such a bad place. We can't run back and take cover in their own mud huts because we're going to get shot in the back doing it. So it was just like, oh yes, because you're so dead to the fact that you're could possibly die that you think it's funny. You're like, oh, how stupid are they? Like, oh, we got air assets with us today? Like, we're gonna drop 500-pound bombs on that little building out there. Like, Bait's gonna get to shoot some mortars at them. This is great. Like, you're giggling. You think it's hilarious, right? You're like, this is great. Like, at a certain point, it went over from fear to like, you just don't care anymore. It's so bad. It's so hot. You're like, hey, you're going to do me a favor if you get me, buddy. Like, I don't care. Bring it. Like, whatever you got to throw at me, bring it on, because I don't care. Like, you're not going to ruin my day. I'm not going to remember it anyway. So it got to a point where you're so crazy, you don't even care. Like, honestly, you're giggling and shooting. Like,
there's something that was like exhilarating about it, right? Like, we're men out there battling it out, literally battling it out with the enemy. And there's something just in you, like, and maybe it's just the people that join the military. I don't know, but we dream about this sort of thing, right? We fantasize about it, which leads me to a question. Do you fantasize about being a hero, Jason?
No,
like me and Nothi, hold on. Me and Nothi were talking about this in one of our episodes, and we were talking about how like we crave to be the hero. Why can't there be a damsel in distress when we're around? and Nothi pulls out his Muay Thai clench and throws him into an arm bar or whatever he uses as an example. But I think that like us warriors, there's something within us that we desire to be the hero. We desire to be in these confrontational situations where we get to like express that hero aspect or whatever it is.
I think in your head, you think the best way I can put it is saying my dad used to tell me all the time. He's like, you always beating your chest like, boy, old man, you're so old now. Like whatever, like your glory days are gone, mine are here, you know? And all I remember ever stands out from my childhood is, boy, you are a legend in your own mind. Like, that's it. You pump yourself up. You are a legend in your own mind until it comes down to it. And then he's like dragging me through the front yard unconscious, right? Like, that's literally what it is. You hype yourself up until you're in the situation, and then you don't even think about, oh, I'm going to get a chance to be the hero. You don't think about it. Like,
no, it's inherent.
If I'm thinking about my business partner up here. If Nothi didn't swing that 240 around and instantly start, like, if that wasn't muscle memory to him to say, oh my God, we're taking some serious income fire, because that wasn't pop shots. That was some coordinated fire that was right on top of us.
Yeah, there was multiple machine gun positions.
Yes,
for that ambush.
There was one across the riverbed too. Our alpha section was also took care of the dude, and one of those was behind. I want to say it was like a hay field, like it was like a berm of hay or something over there.
It was,
and it's like, bro, you use that for your cover. Also, like shoots that dude through with a what do we have out there at the time? The
SDM M14.
Yeah, it was an M14, but we had the ERB chassis on it, so he took care of that dude with the ERB. But bro, it's like, that's their mentality. They're so out to get you, and it's such an honor for them to try to take an American out that they're going to go out there and use a bale of hay as cover. And it's like, bro, you know you're going to die. Like, what are you doing? But that was the mentality. It's like they have a machine gun position behind a bale of hay tearing you up for one instance, and then there's, small arms everywhere else, but they waited for you. They waited for you to pass, like, until the middle of your patrol got right in front of their machine gun, and that's when they opened up on us. And it was so coordinated that day that I just thought, like, how did we let this happen, bro? Like, we let them get the drop on us. Like, that day, I was the whole time, and that firefight probably lasted, like, I don't know, 15 minutes maybe, until from start to finish. But in my mind, it went on forever, and I'm just thinking the whole time, I'm like, dude, we did this to ourselves because we let them get the drop on us. Like, how could we not? Which we couldn't get strikers down there. It was just it. That's why we're dismounted in the first place. But you couldn't really get cover. You couldn't get any elevated position to see what's going on out there. So if we didn't have air cover, that's it. And even the air assets that we had, if they were laid down there and were covered up with, whatever shrubs that they got from those grape fields, and they were just laying out there, and you wouldn't see them from the air either. So it was the perfect storm that day. And I thought we weren't going to make it back. And the fact that nobody got shot from us that day blows my mind. Like, I think back on it, I'm like, a miracle. I don't know how we didn't get hit, because the rounds were all over us, bro. I felt like I was a kernel in a popcorn bucket, just waiting to pop, like there's so much going around you, and you're like, it's got to hit me eventually, right? So for whatever reason, during their reload, or you keeping their heads down, and their little changeover they had to do with gunners there, thanks to Nothi, it gave us just enough time to react. And if people weren't at least had that level of training that we went through, and everybody thinks like, oh, scout training, whatever, y'all go, it's not elite training. I mean, it's not like we're not operator, we're not ODF, none of that, but it's enough that the muscle memory is there, bro. If we didn't have that muscle memory, and you didn't for sure, to swing that 240 over and instantly return fire, we would have just been sitting out there like thinking and processing, like, what do we do? Like, what do we do? We're in this position. What do we do? And it gave us just enough time to figure out what to do, So that's the credit to, there are heroes out there,
And I think that speaks a lot to our leadership that prepared us for that deployment
Yeah.
for Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And this is just my opinion, but in preparation, and again, we showed up at the unit like right before we were deploying, so perhaps there was more training and preparation for the Iraq deployment. But I felt like when we got new leadership in for the Afghanistan group, we had great leaders that had us prepared for those situations. And so I think that speaks highly to the leadership that we had during that deployment. And then the other thing is, after this firefight, did you finally feel gratified that like, yo, now I'm a combat veteran, I've achieved it. Now I have a sense of sense of pride.
Yeah. So funny you mentioned that, because I believe you said earlier, like when really the first deployment, only Bailey's truck got cabs. Iraq, Bailey got a cab. That motherfucker, like motherfucker, you got a cab because they got hit by a little, like an IED. They got hit by an IED, and
was it the EMPs or whatever they were?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. It tore up all the garage doors in the bazaar and stuff because they got funneled in the little bazaar driving through there. So he got a cab. Yeah, in Jalula. So he got a cab, and I had to live with that for a whole year because that's like my brother and stuff. And we, everybody banters with each other. And he's like, "Bro, you ain't even seen combat. Like, you don't even know combat." I'm thinking, like, bro, come on, like.
He did. He wielded that too,
dude,
bro.
for a year.
And
then when that happened, boy, I was like, I wish our phones worked, boy, because I'm calling him up. Like, I remember coming back from that.
Well, it's important to remember that at that point in time, wasn't Bailey part of the PSD for Colonel Rao?
Yes. So he and that's. We'll get forward to that story too. But he was. So he was at a different area of operation than us. Like, we weren't even in the same area. We weren't even in the same AO. He was not in Panjwai at that time. But I was thinking to myself after that one, going back, I was like, can't wait to talk to him, boy. Like, because that one, boy, that shit, all of us earned it that day. And I'm thinking like, I can't wait to talk to you. And he did too. I'm not trying to discredit his cab, because he saw some shit too. Like, we'll move to that and my attitude that got me moved away. But me and Bailey ended up switching, and he came down and took over my position, and I went to the squadron commander's TAC at that time. But
so you guys were a 1-for-1 swap?
Yeah, it was a 1-for-1 swap. Because what happened was part of it.
Well, let's go ahead and get into that.
You want to get into it? All right. So part of it, I love Sergeant Sloat. That's like the best leader I had. But I was like his little glory child, right? Like, I remember
he loved you.
He did.
Sergeant Sloat loved you. You were his favorite soldier.
Yeah, and I loved him
for a good reason.
Yeah,
you were awesome.
Yeah, and he kept me close. But being his gunner and stuff, like, I felt part of that is why I had so many issues with other leadership, because I'm thinking to myself, like, anytime y'all try to discipline me or something, Sergeant Sloat intervenes, and he's like, no, fuck that, whatever. Sergeant Sloat took care of me, man. Like, I was like his son out there. So I'm just thinking, it gave me too much of a big head, and I thought I was invincible from that. So anytime you're in a shitty situation where it's hot and you're just miserable and you don't care anymore, you already don't care if you get, murked out there on a patrol or whatever, and then you add on, like, I was a bad kid growing up in the first place, and now I got some a-hole, I think, trying to tell me what to do in a way that I don't like you saying, which I get it. You're the leader, you tell me what to do, but some things were just off-putting to me, like, there was a certain time where I was getting blamed for, like, keys going missing, and you couldn't get in the striker because the keys are missing, and I'm like, that's not even my truck. Why would I have the keys to a truck that's not mine, So it's like, how's that my fault? So my attitude always was from situations like that, because I'm overthinking it, and I'm like, maybe it was because you're in a somewhat of a leadership position. Maybe you should make sure those drivers keep up with their keys. I'm not thinking about it like that. I'm like, why are you yelling at me because the keys are missing to a truck that I'm not fucking responsible for, right? So the bad attitude and stuff got me in way more trouble than, over analyzing. And you couple that with, now we're in the world's shittiest conditions, and we're in these like life or death firefights daily. And then you're like, I don't care what rank you are, bro. Don't talk to me like that. And then you're at the back of a striker about to throw down. And ultimately, it got so bad. It wasn't all the leadership. All the guys that were my peers, I loved them, best dudes ever. But me and a couple of leaders had some. We couldn't get our heads together, and we couldn't see the same side of things. And it ultimately led to where Sergeant Sloat was no longer there to protect me and my mouth, because I'll never forget, he got moved up to go to be the he went up to be, I'm trying to think of the frontnet or whatever the fob was, but he got moved up to squadron, and he was basically going to run the talk and everything else. He was going to be the NCO in charge of everything. So when he was leaving, I was like, man, this sucks. This is not going to go good. And I knew it was coming, and it got bad after that. And then, you know, the last mission that we rolled out with Sergeant Sloat was another one that will always stand out to me. And that was the day that the truck, I think it was Allsup's truck that got hit, that was in front of us.
Yeah.
I think we were down to 3 trucks at that time. We had 4 by nature, but we were down to 3. So it was a weird setup. So me and Sloat were actually in the number 2 truck that day. And so we were the middle. That truck got hit, and I remember that one was big. That one threw their tow rope clear a football field away, and you got to think a tow rope for a striker is heavy. And I just remember seeing that thing sling, and then the dust cloud came up, and I was the gunner that day, and I felt all the force of it, like the percussion of that blast, just boom, and you just feel it like a mushroom cloud. You hear the rocks, and luckily I had glasses on, and the only reason I wore my PPE up there, because I always was the guy that's like, I hate wearing glasses, they fog up and stuff. The only reason I had it on is because it's so dusty there. That's the only way I can see when I'm up there in the gun. So luckily I had it on, because it threw rocks and stuff all over me, my gun, everything. And I just remember that Mark 19. Oh, I do remember why now. It wasn't my truck. Remember, we had gone to send, we were down 3 trucks, and then the dude that gunned that truck was the little short dude. He used to be supply. He came from like Korea. What was
Burger?
Bert? No, it wasn't him. The sergeant. I can't think of his
Willis.
name. Willis, yeah.
Willis.
So it was Willis's truck, and then Willis went back to gun a different truck because it was all messed up that day. From the get-go, it was messed up because we dropped people off to go on their R&R. So I remember that day very vividly. People were going out, people were going everywhere. So I wasn't on my truck. So I was gunning somebody else's truck. So when that truck blew up, I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh shit. Boom, I'm racking it. I'm trying to get these Mark 19s to go. And I'm like, I'm a Mark 19 gunner, and I pride myself in that gun and that system. And I'm like, this thing is, something's wrong with it. I'm racking the rounds through there. I'm pulling another round out. I'm clearing it, and I'm trying to suppress it because the front truck's down. It's not shooting back at anything.
And wasn't it, Harris, wasn't the Mark 19 for that specific mission, wasn't it shooting like one round, jamming?
Yeah.
You would get rid of it.
Yeah.
Shoot another round.
Yeah. And I could not get it to cycle. And it could, honestly, I don't know. It could very well have been that blast. It had thrown so much stuff back that something got lost. You know, if I'm out this way, because I do remember so much debris coming up that it could have got in, you know, the charging system, something was jammed, a spring, something was up with that gun. Like I could not get it going. And you're in such a panic because you're after the IED went off, you're getting shot at from the little buildings from the groves and stuff, and then you're getting hit from behind. So it's another complex ambush. And that was right before Sloat left. And I remember hearing him on the net, and he was talking to air assets. So we had support that day. But he's sitting there and he's telling me, he's like, we've got 2 guns down. We're rolling with 3 trucks. We've only got 1 up. We're fighting off 2 machine gun positions. We're suppressing one of them with M4s. That's all we've got that, you know, can put fire on this thing. And the way that the truck had blown up, we couldn't maneuver the truck to get the air guards position because we'd fall off the dang road right there on Hyena. So we couldn't even get the 240 and stuff from the air guard hatches to suppress that position. So I'm up there with an M4 literally on burst hitting that building, and I hear Sergeant Sloat,
and he's basically, it's almost like he's negotiating with the air assets, and they're telling him, they're like, dude, we cannot drop ordnance on it. He said we have to get permission from higher up, like we got to get an O5 to tell us we can drop ordnance. And I think he was at Chow or something, because they're coming from Kandahar, and they're communicating with him. They're like, they've got runners, they're going to get them the second we're locked on, we got the coordinates, because we use the LRADs, we told him exactly where we needed ordnance. And he's like, I'm just waiting for authorization, I'm gonna drop ordnance, you got to give me a second to get authorization. And Sergeant Sloat's like, motherfucker, like we don't have that kind of time. He said, we're all gonna die. Like Sergeant Sloat was sitting there, and he was trying to tell him, like, hey, I don't care about that O5, like our lives depend on you suppressing that, because we're done. And they were like F-16, F-15, Strike Eagle, I don't know. They were something that wasn't an A-10. It wasn't helicopter assets. So it was real deal shit, fast movers that got there. And I'll never forget the second Sergeant Sloat said, I don't care, we're all gonna die if you don't do something. I just hear, and I'm like, oh, it's coming in. Like, and I'm looking around for it. Because I'm out of ammo at that point. I'd gone through all those mags. I'm sitting there like hiding behind the chicken shield, just waiting. And I hear it coming. And all of a sudden I caught a glimpse of the left of my eye coming across that flat plane towards it. And you see this like F-15 just ripping down the desert there. And he was so low, that moon dust I'm talking about, that moon dust was just flowing up behind him, and you could just see he was ripping it, son. Like, I don't even know how fast he was going. And the building we were taking fire from was like this. He comes right over it, bro. Like, I'm talking maybe 10 feet off the top of that building. I don't know how he was moving that fast. And the second he gets over it, he pulls his flares. And you just see these flares coming out of the back of it. As soon as he cleared that building, he was straight up, like almost vertical, out of the way. And he set that shit on fire, bro. Like those flares, they've got hay and stuff up there for those buildings. Those flares lit that thing up. It was on fire, bro. Like, and then the sheer noise I can imagine being in that thing and hearing those turbines. I'm like, everything stopped, bro. It felt like the most peaceful, surreal, quiet that I ever felt there after that. And I'm like, I got chills, bro. I got chills now just thinking about it. I'm like, that was the craziest thing I ever saw in my life. And it all just stopped. I didn't hear the radios anymore. And then I see coming down after he cleared it and gets off, his wingman comes in behind him, and he's just rocking his wings down the desert like this, just nice and slow. He's just going back and forth, letting them know they're there. And that was enough to stop it, bro. Like, they didn't even have to drop ordnance on it, because that show of force let them know, like, oh my God. Like, they were probably unconscious from the sheer, being in the truck with my earmuffs on and my radios and stuff. It was so loud to me that I was like, I can't imagine it being right on top of my head, 10 feet, and not wearing any kind of air protection. Like, they had to have had like some internal issues after that. Cause it's literally, bro, they say those dudes saved our life that day for sure. Like, if they didn't come down there and they didn't do something to help us, and I'm sure, those things have all kind of radars and tracking systems, and I'm sure he got his ass tore up when he got back for flying that low, because he was low. Like, F-15s aren't meant to fly that low. That it looked like some shit out of fucking what's it called? The new movie. Damn, I'm having brain freezes now. Top Gun. It literally looked like some shit out of Top Gun, bro. Like, sitting back and thinking about it, craziest thing I ever saw in my life. But those dudes definitely saved us that day. So that was the last mission I think I rolled out with Sergeant Sloat, which leads into now I'm a sitting duck out there because I've let my mouth get, me in trouble with the mid-tier leadership. So long story short, it was going to come down to we were going to be a news story out there in the desert. Like, one of us were going to end up killing each other, or they were going to move one of us. And I was the lowest man on the totem pole. So what they do? Took Bailey from where he was and sent me up to the TAC up there. And then Bailey came down to take over for me the last couple of months there in country. So we did a total swap. And I felt so guilty about that, dude, because it was one of those things, like, when it happened, nobody knew it was happening. So what happened was that truck from that event was fucked up and it had to go back to Kandahar Airfield for reset. So guess what? They had to send an experienced gunner with it to make sure that it could get reset and get back out there because we're already down 2 trucks. So they brought that MGS striker down, like a 120 millimeter gun on it, on a striker, and then had to run Paretting him through it on, you know, how to even operate that thing, just because we had so many vehicles getting annihilated that they had to just give us like, oh, here's a tank with wheels, so y'all operate that while we reset other trucks. So I got set up there with a truck that wasn't even mine. So I'm up there trying to get this thing reset, and then I have the same leader telling everybody Harris is up there in Kandahar eating pizza and at Starbucks and everything else, and it's taken a month to get that truck reset, and it's just, he wants all the pizza or whatever, so I'm sure he's poisoning y'all's mind. And I'm sitting there every day, I'm sitting in that motor pool on the back of that ramp waiting for parts and stuff to help them take up, you know, floorboards or whatever we can to reset that truck, trying to pirate and do wheel and deal and everything else. Like that Kandahar was not the life for me because I was in those transient tents again. Like I had it made where we were, not in Kandahar, because there's no place for us there. It's literally you go to the transit tents while you're waiting to go out to where you're supposed to go. So I'm back suffering in the heat and stuff, but there was good food. I'll give y'all that. Sorry, guys, but you know the food was good. You could get
the world
the
wants to know: were you in fact eating pizza?
Not pizza, bro. Because the Pizza Hut there, bro, that thing sucked compared to the DFAT. We had a good DFAT there in Cass. So that was the only blessing out of being there. Was being able to get decent food and Rippets. I was like, oh yeah, cold Rippets, boy, I can't wait. But was that enough to keep me from where I was with you guys? No, I was trying to get back. Like every day I was trying to get back.
I was gonna say we're built different. Like we want to be there with our brothers slinging lead down range. Like that's in us.
If and Mergen got hit while I was gone. You know how guilty I felt, bro? Like that situation happened and I wasn't there, bro. Like I'm sitting there with like legitimate guilt. So fast forward, when I say it kind of hit me blindsided, when I found out that transition was happening because it was so bad between me and this leader that they had to do something, I never went back down to Panjwai with you guys. They took me from Kandahar and moved me up there. I didn't even have my stuff. So they had the leader and whoever else pack up my belongings and my gear and move it up there on a log pack. And then Bailey came down and took over for me. I never got to see you guys again on that deployment. I go away thinking I'm resetting a truck and coming back to y'all. And then I get shipped away to another place in the middle of being there. And that fucked me up more than anything. Cause I was like, I can't even talk to him. There's no phone. I can't pick you up and call you on a cell phone. And I think the first time I was able to get my side of the story out of what was going on was when you got injured, when you were in Kandahar. And I heard, because we got supply sergeants and stuff there that are like the middle liaisons between you and your unit and stuff, finding out what's going on with everything. And I remember him saying, yeah, they got hit and Bates here. Like he's at the hospital or whatever. And I was like, okay, come get me. Give me a ride. Like I'm gonna go up there and see him. So let's go. I went up there to go see you, and that was the first time I got to see anybody from Panjwai, bro. And it was because you got injured. You got you got shot with a recoilless rifle. But I'm like, bro, that was it. And then after that, I was moved off, and Bailey got moved down in my place. So like, that was the shittiest way to end a deployment, bro. Like,
it sucks, dude.
Still makes me mad.
You were one of the top warriors in our platoon, right? And like only an asset out there. And of course, like we're all men, we're running high testosterone here. We don't have a bunch of femboys in the military and combat arms. We're all high testosterone males that are in a competitive environment. So of course tempers are going to run hot. There's going to be disagreements for one another. There probably should have been a better way to handle that whole situation because they were taking a piece of our warfighting machine away from us, and having you down there with us battling would have been, it would have been best for the platoon, for you, for everybody. And so it sucks that like those interpersonal dynamics got in the way of that. I know that like you, no matter what, like coming back from mission after crazy shit or even just like layouts or anything, like having you there was good for the morale of the platoon. Like you were always there to make the situation better.
you know, I had an attitude and everything else, but I was also a class, you know, I was a clown at that time too. I try to make light of everything, you know. So when I'm with my boys, my peers, my same rank, like we're sitting there, you know, we'll talk bad about, you know, that leader pissed us off this day or whatever, you know. But it was just that, you know, that was the best part of deployment for me, being with my friends, you know. But then it was the politics of it ripped me away, and then it was like now everybody's mind's poisoned, like Harris betrayed y'all, or yeah, I think I even heard come out of that dude's mouth to somebody. I think, you know, when the best thing I did, you weren't there, but the best thing I did was go to that reunion, our platoon reunion there with Perrette and them. That was the best thing I did because I got to talk to everybody. And, you know, coming back after kind of, you know, not being cast out, but everybody's mind was poisoned, bro. They thought I left and was just gone. But that was good for me.
I want the record to state, though, I always tried to tell the truth about what happened with that. And no matter what, I always stood up for you.
And one thing that was great about having you there and having my back and being my friend was the fact that you got rank before I left. So you were an NCO, and this particular individual outranked you by 1, but it didn't matter. You were still an NCO, and I'll never forget that person almost closed the striker ramp on you when you were dismounting, bro. And I'll never forget you chewing him out on the side of the road over the net there, bro. And I was like, oh, dang, like you're about to be in the same position as me, because you spoke out about something that was negligent that could have injured somebody seriously. Because you got up on the striker ramp and you were like hung up.
It literally almost crushed me.
Yeah, and you had to jump off with a 240,
and I barely got out of there.
Yeah, and I remember you lost it on the side of the road that day, and I was like, man, that sucks, because he's a good leader, and now he's going to be in the same boat I am, because he stood up and he spoke out and called a spade, you know, like he said, this is wrong, like slow down, and when you correct certain people in the military, and they got pull over you, then that's it. You're the black duck of the unit. You know, you're the outcast, right? But luckily that didn't happen to you, because you had enough pull that you had some rank. I didn't. Is that because my own fault?
Was I my section Sergeant Alsop really had my back, and he looked after me in that moment, because when he got back, I was hot-headed. I was a lot younger back then, not as smart as I am now, and I was ready to fight him. I was ready to lose my rank right then and there, and I legit, all I wanted to do was beat the shit out of him in front of everybody.
Yeah, and that's saying a lot, because you were way more calm than I was at that time, so you can only imagine the trouble that I had, because I was very, well spoken. I didn't care. I'm going to tell you. And you were more of a professional, and you would handle it the right way. But that day it got so bad, and you addressed a situation that needed to be addressed, but you were always more professional with it. But the fact that you and him went at it like that day, it was like, at least there's merit to what I'm saying. You know what I'm,
Yeah, right.
Like, some people don't always see the backstory in it, and it looks like I'm just an unruly, like, a-hole. And I was a loose cannon. You come after me. Okay, let's see who wins this. I don't care. Like, I don't need your money. So Army, if you want to chapter me out, whatever. I'm not going to sit here and be talked to like a 5th grader when we're both grown men here, So it got so bad that we got moved, but that platoon reunion where we all got back together and stuff was the best thing ever for me to clear the air and say, like, I did not abandon y'all. Like, I was told where I'm going, right? I was already mad enough leaving there because it wasn't my truck. I'm like, why do I have to go? My truck's back there. It's ready to roll. And they're like, oh, you're the most experienced gunner. Like, we have to send an experienced gunner out there with this truck to reset it and blah, blah, blah. So I got moved out there to get this truck reset. And y'all know, despite them saying I was dragging my feet, even after I made it to where Bailey was, that truck was still down. That truck, I don't think did that truck ever even come back, or did y'all run the MPS the whole time?
Like, we switched to RWS after that. The truck, the RV never
came back. So while they're sitting there, I'm dragging my feet. The truck, for the last 2 months of deployment, never even made it back to service. And the pictures are out there of this truck. It's like, you think you're going to get that running? You think you're going to get that operational again before this deployment ends? You're crazy. Like, not happening. So to me, I'm sitting there thinking, like, I'm hearing him say all that stuff. And I even heard at one point in time, he's like, Harris is a coward. He took off to CAF or something. He couldn't handle the firefights. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, where the F were you at when all these battles were going on? I don't think you ever had to like go and pirate ammo from other platoons or units, because I don't think you ever expended yours. So how are you going to sit there and tell me I'm this, that, and the other? And like, I have never backed down to a fight ever. Like, I get off the truck and try to be a dismount when I shouldn't be a dismount, because y'all are into some shit and I'm trapped on the truck. I'm like, put me off the truck. Like, let me go. So that's what made me more mad than anything. It wasn't the arguments we got in person. It was the shit I was hearing afterwards. And it's like, bro, put me in a room with that dude is all I was saying. And I'm not, and like I said before we even came on here, bygones are bygones. I'm in a better place. I'm not as angry with that situation anymore, but bro, just knowing what it did with my core group of friends, bro, that I'd gone through 2 deployments with. And keep this in mind, this leader wasn't with us for that first deployment. So the guys that he's trying to paint me like a certain way with are people that he's never even deployed with. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you don't have the bond. You're their leader, but you're sitting there poisoning them. And what sucks is Iraq, nothing did happen. So I couldn't even prove myself there. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you don't know if that's true or not, right? Because it's just like you go through so much. Well, it's the last thing you want to hear, you know? Well,
plus it's also like a game of telephone, because you're hearing this from like 3 or 4 people down the road.
Yeah. So to me, at least I was there for the biggest stretch of that deployment and in there in the shit. And then the last couple of months, when that transition happened, I was happy that at least Bailey went down there, because I was like, at least they didn't get some ass and trash, you know, some brand new private or something to take over. Because I felt guilty, bro. Like I felt guilty, bro. Like, I remember my uniforms were so torn up and stuff from being in that motor pool with the trucks and just oil and stuff. And the supply guy was there. And he's like, bro, he said, I got uniforms. Like, come down there and get some uniforms and stuff. And I wouldn't do it. I refused, bro. I was like, yeah, the last thing I'm not showing up with brand new crispy uniforms and stuff. I'm not going to do it. Like, and my guys don't get brand new, fresh pressed and cleaned and sent off to the laundromat and come back. And I was like, I'm not doing that, because they're not getting that. So I'm not either. So I was still out there and washing my clothes in like trash bags of water and like wringing them out and stuff, you know, because I just wasn't that guy. So
solidarity, bro.
Yeah, buddy.
Solidarity.
I ain't going in there and getting dang uniforms. And it was actually the day, I'll remember the uniform discussion kind of came to a head with our supply sergeant out there. He's like, bro, I'm about to force you to go get new uniforms, because you got like oil and stuff all over for like antifreeze and stuff from these trucks. Like, you can't wear that. It's going to be like, it's going to give you cancer or something. And I'm like, no, bro. I'm not wearing it. And he's like, yeah, you are. I'm going to force you. I outrank you. And I was like, write me up. Article 15. I said, and I always used to say this every time I got into it with a leader and we were butting heads, they'd come to the point where they were literally pissing match going back and forth, and my line was okay, well, I'll just give you an Article 15. I'll write you up. We'll do enough. I'll write you up enough. You get your Article 15 and lose money, and I'll take your rank and blah blah blah. I'm like, court martial. Every time I said court martial, baby, let's go. But I was not willing to give up. I was like, you're not doing shit. I had ordered a patch that actually hold on. I think I forgot.
Yeah. And while he's going to grab that, you know what time it is? We need to lock and reload. I got to throw in another dippy dap for the lippy lap. Shout out to the boys of Panjwai. If you're enjoying the content, please subscribe, like, share, support Crossfire Republic. I'm going to edit that part out because I botched it entirely.
That's all right. So
you got a patch.
The patch, bro. I ordered this. I had somebody from back home send it because we were going at it so hard that I started wearing this shit instead of my rank. I was like, fuck you. Like, I don't care. But it says, don't confuse your rank with my willingness to beat your ass. So I started wearing that. and
That
this
sums
is
up Jason.
this was
perfectly.
what I started wearing right before the striker ramp instance, where we were about to like literally go on a full on brawl out there on the back of the striker right before I got moved to go reset somebody else's truck. So this patch is what did it probably. So that was it.
Well worth it.
Well, I think also what was going on at that time is that that was like the middle of the fighting season. So the tempo was extremely high, but
Yeah.
we weren't completely exhausted and drained yet.
Yeah.
I think we were still bathing ourselves in glory at that point. So
Yeah.
while you're gone, the rest of your boys are just getting all this glory and honor and everything. And that's gotta suck to miss out on that, especially because leading up to the tour, that's what all of us were hoping to.
Yeah, because I mean, the day after the riverbed thing, I'll never forget. Like that was probably the most pride that I had, even though everything was still going on in the background. Like we you know, me and some people still hated each other's guts. But I remember getting off the truck that day after that firefight, and I remember our troop commander, running up to us and like picking us up and bear hugging us, like, Harris, I heard y'all got him. Like I heard all about it, blah blah blah. And you're like, dang, like that's my commander out there, like saying, dang, you got that dude. Like, and then with you, and they were sitting there and they're like, now we got this debacle, you know, because they had that award, like hero of the battle and stuff. And they're like, you know, who's it going to go to? You and Nothi. And they're like, also everybody got somebody that day, you know, like it was this big thing. And you just felt like a little bit of pride because you're like, dang, I did something, you know, even though like I'm arguing with these people and stuff constantly. It felt like, I don't know. It felt like you belong there. Like that was in your realm. Like that was your element, right? And then it was right after. I mean, it was not long after that. The whole thing fell apart when I ultimately changed out with Bailey. You know, so it sucked. But looking back on it, what are you gonna do? Only thing I could have done is like. You know, took it. Like, I don't know. Had I known, I think looking back, had I known, it would have resulted in me getting taken away from my platoon at the end, right when things were like at its height. And I felt like I could have been more used down there. I think I probably would have just shut up and not said anything and just been like, yes, Sergeant, let me go find those keys. And like, I should have just done it, but I've just never been that guy, bro. Like, I've just never been that guy.
That's part of your legacy, though, and part of your story. And I think that's important. Like the sense that everybody who knows you and respects you and admires you because you don't take shit from anybody, no matter what, no matter the rank, whether they could beat you up or anything. And that's so badass. But also to hear you say that you would do things a little bit differently. I mean, that's very human right there.
Yeah. Well, it's because, I mean, you got to think at that stage, we had all known each other for years, bro. Like we grew up together from young adulthood, coming out from being teenagers until now we're borderline grown men now. By that point, we have been together for three years, almost leading into 4. And it's like when you get ripped away from your family like that, and you don't even get to tell them bye or anything like that, like your stuff's packed for you and you move. Like I was so bitter about that for so long, bro. Like I was so bitter. Like I didn't fully let stuff go with that until that platoon reunion that we went to, and I was shocked to get that phone call, bro, when y'all called and said, you know, we're close to you in Texas, you know, come to this platoon reunion. I was like, yeah, here's where they're gonna get me, because they got a grudge because of whatever was said to them. I was like, I'm gonna end up in the woods in Arkansas, but you know what, I'll bring the shovel, I'll help you dig the hole, because I am going. Like, I'm getting my story out there. I don't care. You can put me in the ground. Like, I'm going to help you dig the hole because I'm going to tell my story. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, but that was the best thing I ever did was go up there and get to see everybody and tell my story. And it was so good to even like sit down. I felt like me and Watts were really close during that deployment, and you know, bunkmates and everything, and you know, Smith, everybody else. But I think Watts at that time had the most resentment towards me, even up to the thing. But me and Watts sat on that back porch in Arkansas, and we talked about everything, bro. And he's like, dude, you know what? It all lines up. It all tracks. Like everything that was said and everything. Like when you look back on it and you put the pieces together, and you're like, that truck didn't even make it back after he was gone. Like that truck wasn't coming back. It was never coming back. So the more that me and him sat there and talked, it was so good to bury the hatchet and like the hostilities there. Cause I you know me, I'm an asshole. So if it got confrontational and he like, I'm going to beat you up because you left us. Okay, well, guess what? Like, let's go. But, one of us is going to, for what point? Like, let's end it. But it never even got to that because Watts was it was so cool to like sit there and talk to him like we were just old friends again, sitting there talking after mission. And when everybody starts talking and realizing like, I didn't just leave. Like, I didn't just pack my bag and walk down Route Hyena and head to CAF one day. Like, that's not how it happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was the best thing ever to reconnect with everybody and get to see everybody. And, like, just, it felt like deployment again. Just Perrette hooked it up and we had a much better accommodations. We had beds and, like, Blanton's gold and, like, steaks and everything else. And, like, that was just the best trip. I thoroughly enjoyed that platoon reunion. So I wish you could have came back. I forgot what you had on your flight canceled or something, but
no,
that was a good one.
I was running up on my flight, bro. And like, there was just something in me, and I'm just going to be completely transparent. I was headed up to Denver. I live in Colorado Springs. I was headed up to Denver to the airport. No, I know you blame it on this, bro. You still don't believe me, but the Vegas trip, I literally lost my phone and my wallet off my car. And it was a disaster. This happened, bro. It wasn't just because, the love of my life came back into town and I had to spend time with her. All right.
Okay.
Don't paint me like those certain people painted you for packing up your suitcase and walking up high.
Yeah, but in my defense, what's a more believable story, mine or yours?
I mean, you do know I love the ladies, bro.
Yeah.
You do know I love ladies. No, but honestly,
thank God, I wouldn't hang out with you if you didn't.
That's fair. No, but I was driving up there, dude, and like, there's all sorts of fear, like because we actually had stopped talking, I think, right before this, and Jamie encouraged me to reach out to you so that it wouldn't be awkward or whatever, which was awesome. And but I just like. I knew that there would be alcohol going on. I knew that there would be hotheads. I didn't know what kind of shit was going to be talked. And in my head, I'm thinking like, this could go so far south that like bad things could happen. I'm dead serious. This is what's crossing through my head. And as I'm driving up there, like something in me just like, it was like, bro, you shouldn't go. Something bad's going to happen. And I, just like you regret it, bro, I regret every minute of it, dude. I wish I would have been there to see my boys again. It eats at me all the time. I wish I hadn't bailed on the flight. And I ate the cost on the ticket, just for the record. I ate the cost on it. But my intent was to go.
That's the consequence of your actions. All right.
Yeah. And that's fine. That's the least of it. The money comes and goes, right? I'll always find a way to get more money.
That's right.
But what lives with me forever is that you guys got to at least share those moments and experiences. The most important, influential moments of my life, and day zero to today, still will always be that Afghanistan deployment. It'll always be the bond I had with all the boys of Panjwai. And like, to be able to go back and relive those moments and be with you guys again, like we should do that more often.
Yeah, we should just head back to Panjwai.
Let's go road trip, baby.
The boys are getting back together. Yeah.
Well, speaking of heading back to Panjwai, Harris, what was your opinion of the enemy before and then after the tour ended? Did it change at all? And can you tell the audience about that?
Bro, I just felt like it was never going to change down there because there was like little, you talked about the fighting season and stuff. There is like, civilians don't understand that. There is some dead time over there where you have a little stretch for Ramadan or whatever. But it always felt like the pockets of bad always came back. And when they came back, it was just like it was almost just like if it got better, it was almost like, false advertisement because you knew it was just a reset. They were down on supplies. They were waiting to get more munitions or something to come and fight us some more, So it never, to me, I just felt like it's just set in their ways. That's the best way to say it. Like, if you were trained and you were made to believe to hate certain people your entire life, or you were told that, Americans are out to get you or something for your entire life, and you don't have TV, you don't have anything else. Like, what are you going to believe? Your family that came before you, or the Americans that like give you candy on, the side of the road when you're rolling down the thing? Like, it looks like you're literally trying to like manipulate them in their mind. So I never really judge like the kids and stuff. Always, obviously the kids and the women, they're living in that world. But the military age males and everything else, that's their training. They are there. We are invaders in their land and stuff. So I was like, no matter how many hearts and minds, because that was the whole thing, like win the hearts and minds. And did it work to some people? No, I don't think so. And that's my personal opinion. But the people that were there that it did work for weren't against us in the first place. Like the tribes and stuff that we talked to over there that were already pro-American because they already were feuding with the Taliban for centuries before we even got there. Like, of course they're going to be pro-American. So did we win their hearts and minds? No, they didn't have anything against us in the first place. But the ones that didn't like us, did we win their hearts and minds? Did we win them over? No, you didn't. Like, to me, you didn't. So is there good people in Afghanistan? Absolutely. There's tons of them. Are they oppressed by the same force that we were fighting? Yes. Like, they've got access to the weapons and everything else, and the farmers that are there and the people that are just trying to survive and protect their families and stuff. Is it ever going to get better for them? Doubt it now. That's why I was so mad to watch the withdrawal the way it did, because it's like everything that was done, you did make these people's lives better. Did you win their hearts and minds? Like I said, no. But did they see that you actually were making their lives better? Some people, yeah, they saw that, but their minds weren't already made up about us from the get-go. So that's the whole thing with hearts and minds. I don't really believe in it. I think, like, if you're at war, go wage war, be ruthless. If you shoot at us, there should be no rules of engagement and all that shit. Like, if you want to go to war with America, then go to war with America. You know what I'm saying? Like, but if you want to be a villager and you want to raise your farm, your animals, your produce, your opiates, I don't care. If you can have drugs in your country, have them. But if you're working towards a life for your family, do it. Don't pick up a rifle and shoot it at an American, and then we're going to be great. Like we had so many people that we worked with, that we were friendly with, that were friendly towards us, that I would sit down. I would sit in their, mud hut all day long and drink their tea or whatever, and never think I'm getting poisoned, because I know those people, that group of people, don't have it out for me. But I'm not going to go sit with a Taliban commander and drink his tea and stuff, because you're trying to kill me, bro. Like, you're not going to win that dude's hearts and minds. So right. You could try forever and spend a whole lot of money doing it, or you can go eradicate the problem and then give the country back to the people that, are worth a shit, So.
And Harris, could you take us a little bit through your mind? What was going on and what were you thinking in September of 2021 when we saw those planes taking off from Kabul City with like people falling off of them and trying to hang onto the wheels, and just the entire pullout in general?
Anger, bro. Like, straight, I'm still mad over it. Without bringing politics into it, because politics don't play a role in what happened in Afghanistan, really. And to a small effect, it does. Like, you could make an argument, whichever side caused it, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about any of that. I care about what we established there that now we don't have. Like, Bagram, bro, like, we let that airfield go. That is right beside China and all their nuclear facilities and everything that we need to be close to if anything ever kicked off. It's like we just gave that back to the Taliban. Like, we just gave it up. Like, if nothing else, we got bases all over the world, and we put so much infrastructure and money into that country. So even if they couldn't hold on to it and the Taliban overran it,
the Taliban's not going to take Bagram from us if we want to establish a base there and keep it. Like, that is so strategic to what that alone, if we could have held on to Bagram with that withdrawal, that alone would have made things better for me in my mind, because at least America was benefited some way. Now we have an asset that we can use in a region of the world where we need to be able to land some heavy haulers. That airport was built for it, right? But now it's gone. All our equipment's gone. Blackhawks are gone, getting crashed by Taliban. It's like, I think I can fly this thing, like Hummers. Like, what? Why is all this equipment gone now? Like, equipment that could have been better used in, I don't know, Ukraine. Like, you could have kept that stuff, I don't know, at Bagram. You could have kept it in warehouses at Bagram. And when something goes on in the world that you might need to move some munitions and some weapons to, guess what? You would have had it to ship right on up to, Ukraine. So it's like, am I bitter about the withdrawal? Hell yeah. Yep. And it has nothing to do with politics. I just think that whole withdrawal, I don't care what president was in office, like, that withdrawal was a shit show. And what gets me more than anything is like all the million, because me, like, I finally got some rank by the time I got out of the army, and I was, I made a name for myself in 10th Mountain. But I guess what I'm getting at, I've had some outs with some leaders and disagreements with them and stuff. But that one, I don't care if you're a 4-star general, if you're a 3-star, I don't care. You sitting there and saying, I was the last soldier out of Afghanistan. Cool, bro. Like, are you proud of that? You proud for all the lives lost and stuff? And we just gave it back to the country to be the same place that we showed up to right after 9/11. Like, how could you possibly think that's, something to be proud of on your resume, So,
well, Harris, I think that leads us into, I think because of the pullout, there's this conception in the psyche of most Americans where they believe that we actually militarily lost in Afghanistan. Like, they believe that there was thousands of Americans dying, when I would challenge, maybe we lost 1 or 2 battles out of 21 years, but overall, we completely decimated the enemy compared to the casualties that we took. What would you say to that?
Well, the way that I tell people, there's 2 situations, and both of which I have a little bit of experience in. We'll start with Iraq, all right, and how that went. With Iraq, there was another war before we got there. Iraq and Iran went to war, right? And
for 10 years.
Yeah, Saddam Hussein could have rolled right through Iran, honestly, if he wanted to. For the war that was going on, Iraq did a very good job at, pushing Iran back and actually defending itself or invading Iran. Like, that war, I mean, that was a stalemate, right? And Iran got way more people, right? So you take that, and then what happened when we went to war with Iraq? I wasn't there for the initial part of it because I was too young. I was in high school, but they ran through Saddam's conventional army in 3 days. Like, 3 days, America ran right through them. Like, they were gone. Iraq didn't have an army in 3 days, right? It was done. So a war that another country, that one of our biggest adversaries, everybody was scared that we couldn't, go and stop production of nuclear weapons and stuff. You're scared of that country that couldn't even beat Iraq, and we ran through them in 3 days. Like, what are you scared of? Like, we've got the technology, we've got the assets, we got the soldiers, we got the the will. We can stop that. And what I tell everybody else is there's so much behind that war that people aren't even considering, of why I think America's the best of the best. The same thing happened in Afghanistan. If we look back on history, Russia went into Afghanistan and couldn't get a good foothold. Like, the fighters, the Mujahideen, everybody else that was in Afghanistan at the time, they were showing Russia what for. You know what I'm saying? Like, granted, Russia had more equipment and stuff, and we helped out a little bit, with the silent war. But
they had over fighters, 50,000 casualties. Russia did. I think
Russia withdrew from Afghanistan. And that's what makes me mad about how we did. Like, we claimed the war was over and we had a foothold. We operated Afghanistan. That was our AO, bro. Like,
we had a military built up. We didn't stay long enough to train them and everything, in my opinion. And the way that we pulled out, it should have been a slower withdrawal from different areas to kind of gauge what the Taliban was going to do after we left certain areas, to where we still had a force there that could, get everything back in line. But I felt like what for? After we pulled out like that, it was like we handled the Afghan nation, the Taliban, that was their government. We handled them like it was no problem. Granted, we lost a lot of lives over there, which is a very sad part of war. But the country of Iraq, the country of Afghanistan, the country of Iran, none of them, nobody that's ever threatened us could hold a candle to our military. It's not possible. You're never going to do it. Even at the lowest of our low, when we did a drawdown and we kind of were trying to make a leaner, fitter army and all this stuff, like even at our smallest, nobody could match us. Like we've got. Everybody talks about China's got a bigger navy. No, they don't. They got more boats. Like we're more sophisticated. Our equipment, I don't care. People can flaunt all these cool Chinese planes and stuff. Like, you think for a second that we're just telling you, we've got technology to beat that? You think we want the enemy to know that? No. We are the greatest fighting force the world's ever seen. There's never going to be anybody that can compare with America. And it kind of sounds like, narcissistic and stuff, like, oh, we're the best. We are. Like, it's been proven time and time again. Like, any war that America's been in, we're the finishers. We go in and finish wars, right? So when the world's going to shit and Hitler's running through every European country at will, who's going to show up to end it? You know what I'm saying? Granted, Russia helped. I mean, at that time, they helped box them in, but America showed up. That war, if it wasn't for Americans that didn't really have a dog in the fight until Pearl Harbor, like the world would be ashes, bro. So to me, the way that things were going, and that the way that drawdown happened, it made me mad, because it's like the generations that came before us, all the Vietnam vets and everybody that saw way harder than what we went through. And I felt like what we did in Panjwai was a lot. I felt like compared to Iraq, that was insane. Like, that was a war. But then you watch all these documentaries and stuff, and you see like Vietnam vets and World War vets before they all died off that were like, in wheelchairs for the rest of their life and everything else. It's like, you kind of spit in all those dudes' faces too, the way you left that war. Like, it was an unfinished war, and it in my mind, it didn't make us look weak, because there's still no question in my mind that we could take Afghanistan back quickly if we wanted to. We could take that airfield back if we wanted to. But it's the perception. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it didn't sit well with me. I didn't like it, and I still don't like it to this day. So I guess that's my piece on it.
I got a question for both of you, if you don't mind. I've heard a lot on podcasts and on news recently where people say, you'll be talking to a 20-something year old, and they'll be like, I'm sick of these never-ending Middle East wars. Or they'll be like, I'm fatigued on these never-ending Middle East wars.
But they never went to it.
Right. So and when I hear that, it's kind of disgusting, because I'm thinking, like, you never sacrificed for that. Like, what do you know about it? What do you guys think when you hear this?
Yeah. It drives me absolutely berserk, because then it gets into the politics and stuff, because it always turns into that. And I hate that it's that, but it's not politics. It's like, those guys that are saying that I'm sick of these wars, I'm voting against the war. Well, you never went to the war, so you're not a subject matter expert. You don't know what was going on over there. You don't know the reasons behind everything. So how could you possibly be a spokesperson for it, for something that that's foreign to you? It's like you walking in an operating room and you've been a construction worker your entire life. Like, that's a foreign world. Like, why are you speaking on it? You don't go in there and tell doctors how to do procedures, right? So to me, it's like, if you weren't stepping up to the plate and going when we actually needed people, then you don't get to talk about what the fallout from it is, in my opinion. And the thing is, everybody tries to paint it like, oh, it's the sissy left and the hardcore right and everything else. And I was that way for a long time, and to an extent I still am. I'm like, oh, you want another civil war? Like, we got the guns, like you fall into those traps. But what's crazy is the more I talk to people and get out, like, so here in DFW, bro, like I've talked to these guys. I'll just say what it is. They're these gay guys that are here. I see them at every gun show, bro. And you know what's crazy about it? I've transferred guns to him. I'm an FFL dealer and stuff. And he's probably one of the most down to earth human beings I've ever met in my life. And you know what? As much as everybody tries to paint like the left and like, oh, they're all gays and this, that, and the other. Well, a lot of them are, because they've been, people have been poisoned that way. But this dude is probably one of the most respected dudes I ever met in my life. He goes to the gun shows. He has tables set up, and he's an advocate about like, look, everybody wants these equal rights. Everybody wants to be equal, this, that, and the other. And then like, he's always speaking out against it. And this is why I started stepping back from my far right Republican views that the media shows me and says, you have to believe this way. You got to be like us. Well, what got me, you could say your piece in a second. You shut up, mate. But what got me thinking about it is this: how he interacts online and stuff. It's not a front. Like, he's a big HK guy. Like, bro, he's got better guns than I got, and I'm a big collector, bro. I got just about anything you can imagine. And this dude just transferred in some holy grails. I'm like, dang, dude, that's cool. He don't size me up. He don't try to like hit on me and stuff. So I'm like, okay, you're just a person. Like, you can do what you want in your house, like, he's just a respectable dude. But what really got me, and what kind of made me think like, we just need to talk to more people and get your message out, because people, can you win hearts and minds? That's kind of like the Afghan argument. Some people are just too set in their ways, but somebody like that says, you know what? I take interest in firearms. I love firearms. He might like guys or whatever, but he likes firearms. So we have a common interest, right? Let's start there. Well, now when you're on these neighborhood pages and people are arguing back and forth, and they're like, we have a Devonshire everything page, right? You got, Blacks of Devonshire, Devonshire moms groups. You've got all this other stuff. And they're like, why don't we have a LGBTQ plus of Devonshire? And that dude stood up and spoke up on there, and he got on there and said, why would you want that? He said, I wouldn't join that page if there was one. And he said, I'm married to a man, but why would you want that? He said, I'm so sick of the media saying we want equal rights, we want this, we want that. And he said, but now you want to be you want to be special and have your own web page for what? He said, why don't you want to just be in the neighborhood page and be like everybody else? You scream that you want equality and everything else, but then you want to divide yourselves, right? So to me, all these issues like the withdrawal, everybody has pegged it as it's the left or it's the right or whatever. No, it's the issue at hand. We should have never left Afghanistan that way. Never. It doesn't matter whether you were don't ask, don't tell, or you were serving as a gay person or whatever the case is. The way we left that war isn't a left or right thing. It was just a wrong thing. We should have never done it that way. Too many people lost their lives for it. And what gives me hope as an American is I'm a constitutionalist to its core, bro. Like, to me, the Constitution is everything. You should be like everybody else. Martin Luther King Jr. was one of the greatest of all times, like trying to bring people together. His views, he wanted to see everybody be truly equal. What he was able to do at that time, bringing whites and blacks together to march across a bridge in Selma, Alabama, game changing, bro. So why can't we have these kind of movements now instead of always going back and fighting each other on everything? There's right and there's wrong. There shouldn't be left and right or your views. That you can have a completely different view than me and we can still eat dinner in the same restaurant. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no problem with that. But it's the media, bro. Like, media gets me so bad because of how it just, you have to pick a side now. You can't just be somewhere in the middle. You can't just, have friends that might not like the same sex as you without being labeled like, oh, you're a gay guy because you hang out with gays or whatever. It shouldn't be about that. It should just be about like, are we all patriotic Americans? Would we all be willing to step up if our country called on us? when you're at war, you don't see color. There's no such thing as color in war. I don't know what the fuck that's even means. But then you go through a town here, and I have students, my mouth is kind of bad right now because I'm not in front of 7th graders, but my students, that's the one thing I try to get across to them is like, stop thinking about what people tell you is right and find out for yourself. Travel the world. I have my biggest talking piece on my classroom wall is a big map of the globe, and I color in every country I've ever been to. And that gives me so many discussions with these 7th graders, and they're like, "Oh, Mr. Harris, you went to Africa? Yeah, why wouldn't you go to Africa?" I'm like, "The food's great. Like, go try it out." And they're like, "That I wouldn't think you would go visit there on vacation." And I'm like, "Why not?" I said, "My goal is to see all of them. Like, I want that whole map colored in. Like, and if you don't believe it, go travel for yourself and go see different cultures and stuff. And you might be surprised. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't paint everybody just based on what you see online. Go and see for yourself. You might literally be surprised." So I kind of got sidetracked there, but my conversation always goes back to like the Afghan withdrawal or something. Everything has become so political. That's what they make that. And it's not. I hate it because there was leaders that were in play in the military that were in play under different presidents also that didn't stand up and speak out about that withdrawal. And it just kind of made me sick to see people hanging off planes and stuff, and Americans dying to hastily pull out of Afghanistan and leave all our equipment behind. Like, why did we make all that legway there to just give it up? So I don't know. It gets me on my soapbox and fired up, but that's my thing. What about you, Bate?
Those are a lot of good points, dude. Even if it was a bit of a derailment, I think it all ties together because everything's been so politicized nowadays, and the safety of our nation and what's best for the strategic defense of our nation should not be something that's partisan. It should be agreed upon left and right. Like, we are Americans first. You said this. We are Americans first. We should be patriotic. We should have servitude to our nation. And that means that there are going to be decisions that have to be made that are going to make your tummy hurt. Yeah. But when it comes to the defense of our nation and our people, Americans, we need to protect those people. And by just haphazardly throwing out decades of hard work and blood and sweat and tears that we sacrificed, not people out there on their soapbox. We went through it. We've been there. And it's a slap and a spit in our face to do what they did. And I think it's unacceptable from our leaders, and the rest of the nation should agree with that. Like, we have to put ourselves in the best strategic position because there are enemy nations out there. There are people who do not like our ideology and want to fight against that. And we have to be prepared for that. We can't just think that everything's good. And if that means that we have to have a continuous presence in Afghanistan for the greater good of our people in America, that should be what we're doing.
And here's my thing. Like, I get it. And some of the people that are speaking out against it, they might have been there. Like, we can't sit here and say that everybody that's not against there's another Cav Scout somewhere that has a complete different opinion than me, right? And you can say, I'm glad we got out of there, or that place was a shithole. I watched my buddies die. Okay, you got a different opinion, right? So it's always going to happen that way. But the thing with how politics play into everything and, people's opinions, America spends so much money on other nations that we get nothing in return for, right? So we're going to go support y'all. We're going to go help Ukraine. I get it. Like, that's a fucked up situation, right? Like, I feel bad for them. I truly do. But us spending out all of our resources and our money and our missiles and giving that away, well, now what do we do to defend ourselves if we ever needed to? So now we have to up the defense budget, right? Because we gotta replace all this stuff that we're giving away. Well, now everybody's mad because it's like, oh, you're spending all this money to make a super military because you're going to try to overthrow us at election time. No, like, we're giving away missiles and stuff. We got to replenish that somehow, right? Because we still got to protect ourselves. So everybody's looking at like trying to make everything political, right? But there's another option that could have happened in Afghanistan, where we could have left there and brought soldiers home and spent less money than keeping us there, and that stopped paying contractors an absurd amount of money to go back and do the same thing. Like you're paying them tenfold what you had an American soldier go to all these different places and watch gate guard and stuff, right? So pay them a decent wage. Like, you need to make good money going over there, but why not let vets and stuff start up organizations, mercenary group, Blackwater, all this, whatever. You're in a foreign country, so the first thing, if that happens and we pay people to go and protect what the advancements we made, then you got to defend them when shit goes bad. So like, if their dudes are getting drugged through the streets and hung from bridges and they retaliate, sorry, that's sad. That's war. But should we be trying to prosecute people that just watched their fellow men get drugged through the streets? No. Can we have checks and balances there? Yeah, you can. So if it was like, some people just went rogue. Y'all remember Zangabad? That one staff sergeant went crazy and went out into the town and started shooting kids and women and everything else. Fucking put him in the chair, bro. Electric. Like, hey, burn him. You know what I'm saying? That's an American that snapped and killed innocent kids and stuff. Should you hold him accountable? Yes. There's a difference from that and being able to hold on to something that we have made the legwork to keep and hold on to, not just giving it back to Afghanistan and losing a strategic asset that we now have. It's just, it all makes me mad, bro, to be honest. Like, there's so much wasted 10 years. Like, go ahead now.
Well, something that I find interesting is that many people that were behind that Afghanistan withdrawal and the Iraq withdrawal, what bothers me about it is that they did not have skin in the game. But the three of us and many of our brothers, our blood is literally soaked into the soil of Panjwai. And so it bothers me, and I understand we're in a democracy. I get how it works. I'm just very uncomfortable with the fact that people who had no skin in the game had more of a say than people like us who sacrificed, who stepped up when it was not easy to. It was actually, it was not the easy decision to make when Fallujah was going on for all of us to join when we did. Yeah. And literally, no matter what anyone says, our blood is soaked into the soil of Panjwai.
Yeah, and what gets, I've heard all aspects of it because I've been in some serious debates about this, and you get the people that say, well, you can have a say so, nothing's stopping you from running for public office. Well, yeah, it is, because you don't know that when you run for public office, first off, I don't have donors that's going to throw millions of dollars behind my campaign to put me on CNN and Fox News every night. So you're never going to win that battle. So even if you want to have a say so in your governance, you're never going to get in that position because the political wagon has gotten so big that there's no way that an everyday American soldier is going to get in a position to where he can actually have a chance running against some bigwig with $1 billion donor behind him. You know what I'm saying? So you really don't have a say. It's like the things got so out of control. It's not like back in great grandparent days where they actually small towns where, I know the sheriff and I know this guy that, runs the car dealership. Who's going to do better for me in that position? Like, you could legitimately make an argument for yourself back then. Now, there's no way. You're never going to get camera time. Luckily, one thing that I think is starting to turn around is social media. Now, it's a great thing. Like, I implore people to be more on YouTube. Go listen to podcasts and everything else and hear what real voters and what real people, what real Americans have to say about what's going on. Because I think you'd be surprised. I think it's not so partisan when you really get down to the grassroots issues and stuff. Like, people are more alike than you think. Like, people on the left have the same complaints as people on the right, where they weren't fed that information the right way. So once you start watching podcasts, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube, like the small influencers and stuff that's going out in communities and actually getting people's opinions, now you're not subject to whatever's being forced down your throat on the big news, So I think that's definitely making a change. And I think that's a big part of why
I'm starting to see even locally, like people are kind of tired and they're just tired of what's been shoved down their throats. And I'm starting to see more people come together on issues, which is great because I will go back to what we talked about earlier. And that was like the day Osama bin Laden died. I saw a bunch of Republicans and a bunch of Democrats and a bunch of liberals and a bunch of far right people hanging off telephone poles with American flags, you know, happy that somebody that came and did our country wrong is now answered for that. You know what I'm saying? Like there was no, hey, I want to come over here and celebrate with you, but are you a Republican or a Democrat? Like nobody was asking that. It was just Americans flooding the streets happy, bro. You would think America just won, you know, the World Cup. And it's like, that's what we should be as a nation. That's what this country was founded on. You can have differences of opinion, but take it to the vote, you know, take it to vote. You don't have to argue with each other for 4 years in between elections to figure out, you know, and further hate each other, which is going to get you closer to all this, you know, hostilities. And then now you got Antifa and the other fucking dipshit organization, you know, the far right one, you know, Proud Boys, whatever. Like, why do y'all even need to put a label on your name? Like, you don't have to be in a group to go out there and say, oh, I'm with the Proud Boys, I'm with Antifa, I'm with whatever. Like, just go out there and be an American and voice your opinion and say, hey, this is wrong. How about you both stop acting like children and get out here and actually make a change for what's good instead of sitting here and having to have a side. Like you're not 12. You don't need to take a side and sit at a table with certain people that think just like you. That's where America went wrong. You know what I'm saying? Because back when we all had to stand up and go fight Hitler, nobody really cared how you voted. Like it wasn't about that. But we had Democrats and Republicans we deployed with. Do you think we gave we didn't care? I don't care how you vote. Cast your mail-in ballot. I don't care. You're a human. You're out here with me and we're friends and we're gonna, you know, at the end of the day, when we get out of the field or something back home, we're going to go back to the barracks and play Xbox together. It doesn't matter. Like that's back when America was good. You know what I'm saying? And now the people that try to hold on to power for too long, that's what's messed us up, bro. Cause we're the greatest that there ever was.
And Jason's right. We need to support our podcast. So with that, don't forget, like, share, subscribe to Crossfire Republic. We're spitting hot takes. We're spreading the word of all the everyday average Joes that exist around America. And be involved, like you said. Start your own podcast. We need more conversations happening. That's what made Charlie Kirk so amazing, is that he brought light to how important conversation was, because at the end of the day, when you boil it all the way down to its bare minimum, we have the similar views. And we've talked about it before, Casey. You know, back in the 80s, we always talk about 80s America, baby. We got to make 80s America strong again. And back then, left or right, we had very few discrepancies, whether it was just criminal justice reform or how much taxes you were paying. Otherwise, we were able to cohabitate with one another, and most of our views were closely aligned.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I get super excited. I knew this conversation was going to get towards the end, you know, but I wasn't prepared for it. My mind's all over the place with all these different issues, but I just think like knowing how we were as a platoon and stuff, like if everybody could experience that, they wouldn't be out there like beating each other's doors down and, you know, standing in roads and smashing people's cars that are driving by. Like you wouldn't do that. If you sat there and you hung out with each other, y'all wouldn't be acting like that towards each other. You would banter back and forth and probably make fun of people because it's like, oh, bro, your lettuce isn't going to give you muscles, bro. Like, yeah, vegan ain't going to help you out. And then that person would probably laugh and say, okay, you eat disgusting things that bleed. Like, that's disgusting. Like, so it's like, yeah, you go back and forth constantly, but you would probably get along. You can argue in a friendly way to where you can just hang out and be boys, you know, without all this like like that little twerp David Hogg or whatever the fuck that dude's name is. Like seeing him stand up and talk about like all these things that it's like, bro, you would have been a washout in red phase of basic. Like, what are you even talking about? Like trying to get into war fighting issues. Like
shut up and go run the DNC or whatever. You can do that, but don't come at us and tell us that we're terrible human beings because we flew a plane somewhere and we killed the planet. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm so sick of seeing people like that's never had a job that's a hardworking job a day in their life tell me what I should be doing. Like,
well, yeah, you know, I know we've gone for a long time and we're up against it. We want to be respectful of your time, Harris, but oh shit, I forget the question I was about to ask. Dead air. Shit.
All right, dead air. And while you're pondering, I did have one other thing, and that was that I think there's a good example that you get from things like the military and even in sports. And me and Nothi have talked about this before. Is like, you're right. There's a difference in opinions. There's a difference in beliefs. There's a difference in religion. There's a difference in race. But at the end of the day, none of it mattered because we were all boys hanging out. And yeah, we would chirp at one another back and forth, but we were still making sure that it was chow time. We were stopping by your room, your chew, whatever, and said, hey, yo, it's chow time, bro. Let's go eat. Let's go grub up.
Yeah.
And there's something powerful about the dynamic that comes with being in the military or being involved in sports, where different ideologies are able to put everything aside and identify as one unit working together first and foremost.
Yeah.
And I think that that's super is important.
Yeah.
Wait, that's actually along the lines of what I wanted to ask. And so in our platoons, whether it was in Iraq or Afghanistan, there was never any race issues, even though we had lots of different people of racial makeups. We had immigrants with us. We had people of different religions. And none of these things that seem to be big social triggers in the real world affected us in any way. And I want to ask you both, is that because our platoon was a reflection of average America, or was our platoon a reflection of the best that America has to offer?
The best that America has to offer. And everybody had their part. Like, everybody didn't act the same way in certain situations, but you know what? Everybody had their part. Everybody was good at what they were good at. You know what I'm saying? And it all made things come together. And that's what we should be looking at, is like, as a country, like, everybody's got their niche, something that they're good at. So let's capitalize off of that and use it for good, instead of like, when do you ever see a news outlet get on there and talk about something good like that happened without it being left or right or something? You like, there's never anything good. They're reporting on murders and everything else. How about, let's talk about a charitable organization that did something good for kids or something like that. Like, those get like little footnotes in the media, right? Everything else, you have to divide people to get the money, right? Because these organizations, if they don't get people fired up, like, to their core about something, then guess what? Their viewership might go down. And that's why they have to keep the drama, right? Because everybody loves soap operas and all these, like, just dramatic series on TV, and everybody wants to watch the Kardashians or whatever. Like, everybody needs the drama, right? People thrive off that. They got to know what happens next. But why not just start spotlighting the good stuff that happens in the world, And when you try to spotlight something good that happened under whatever president it might be, why do we have to politicize it in a way that says, oh, there's got to be something that's good, like, on face value, but something, it's for a reason. There's backdoor money or something. Let's just bask in the fact that something happened where, maybe some population in Venezuela or something might have a better life now. Maybe that helps us out with oil prices and stuff in the future, like the long run. Maybe that's a good thing for the world, right? Like, why are we always thinking about the negative behind the positive? What kills me. That's what kills me about the media as a whole. Go to podcasts, go to your local outlets that write still, just blogs and stuff. You're going to get way more beneficial news from those than you're ever going to get sitting and watching mainstream media. So like, America is not going to change until we can kind of, and it's a fine line. It really is. Cause then you get into like I said, I'm a constitutionalist at core. So then you kind of get into the First Amendment rights and stuff, but maybe more people should be held accountable for their lies that they spew over the open airways. Like if you're gonna say it, but at least let it be accurate. So there's just not enough checks and balances.
Well, and it's interesting because your statement, Harris, is coming off of the back of, I believe, day 4 of the Charlie Kirk preliminary hearing for trial. And I think in the last 4 days, we've learned that a big portion of our most popular media has consistently lied about what happened with Charlie Kirk. For example, lots of famous people said that like the alleged shooter had never even been to the campus. And it comes out now that there's like 5 or 6 videos.
Yeah,
of him
more
being
getting released. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he never, it'd be different if the dude was like, I've been framed the whole time, this, that, and the other. Like he came out and the dude admitted it, right off the get-go. Like you could try to walk it back later after you talk to an attorney and say, oh, you shouldn't have said that. It's like, oh yeah, I didn't mean that.
Right.
I was under some kind of pressure. Like if somebody died and I was accused of it because I sent a text message to somebody or something else, like, and then it gets blasted all over the news. It's like you can't really walk that back. Why would I be texting somebody I did the shit if I didn't do the shit? You know what I'm saying? Like that's on you, bud. You're gonna have to defend that in court. You can't go back now and say I wasn't there. Not when there's footage and everything else. And then you got all these, right and left wing nuts saying, "Oh, it's a conspiracy." Now it's a conspiracy. Like, bro, I think the UFO conspiracies hold more weight than that. That's pretty cut and dry, right? Could there be life on another planet? Absolutely. Like, why couldn't there be? We're the only ones with life. Like, it's just a matter of who gets technologically advanced first to be able to go visit each other, Like, hell yeah, there could be life on other planets. The whole nother argument. But if you're on camera and you pretty much were somewhere you're trying to say you weren't at now, like cameras don't lie unless they're manipulated and there's metadata for everything. So, I mean, this story, if he did it, and it's going to come out in this trial. Like people, that's the great thing about America still is you get to get judged by your peers. And when they see the evidence, it is what it is,
Yeah.
So, and people do get wrongly convicted, but you know what? Don't put yourself in a bad situation where you have that possibility. So,
and fortunately, statistically, it's very rare.
Very, very rare. So I don't see somebody getting convicted of that. And then people that I respected before in like watching their small time podcasts and stuff, now they're gone out on their own. I won't say any names, but now like somebody that was like, dang, you were like my dream woman, before. Now I'm like, dude, you are a crazy now. Like you believe that this dude was killed by his wife or something. Like it is the craziest things that I'm hearing. And it's all like, in my opinion, I can't really say one way or another, but it's like, how bad did you get corrupted by money? You go out on your own and now you get all this money coming into your stream and your channel and you being a creator. And it's like, now you're going off the deep end to have people chase you down this rabbit hole because you get more views off of it. It's like, dang, I respected you 10 years ago. Like it's crazy how money and politics influence people. Like it's crazy to me. So that's just where we are.
And it's Occam's razor, right? Like
yeah.
The most reasonable explanation is generally the right explanation. And I think that to believe that like Erica put a hit on her husband or something is just crazy. Like, have you spent any time watching how this guy interacts with anybody in his life? Like, this was one of the best men that I've ever seen grace the face of this earth. He was just pure and true and cared about everybody regardless.
And he was respectful to people. Like if you go back and we watch those debates, he would come at you with that. And that's how it should be. Like, I wish the left and the right could go back and forth like that, presidential debates, everything else, where you actually just present the facts, like he wasn't up there belittling people. Like, people made themselves look like an idiot talking to him because he was just so smart. Like that dude read so many books and taught himself like actual facts that he remembered. Like, I could never debate him. Even if I had a complete different opinion than him, I could never debate that dude. He'd make me look silly. You know what I'm saying? But he did that to better himself and to stand on a platform that he truly believed in and talk about and that he was passionate about. And that's why he looked so good. But it came off narcissistic to some people. But it's like, that's on you. That's because you listened to talking points before you went into that debate and you weren't prepared for it. So now you made yourself look silly. So did people hate him? Yeah, a lot of people did, I imagine. But was he ever disrespectful to people up there on the mic? I never saw it. I never saw a single. I never.
Me neither.
It. Never. So
no, he's the epitome of how we should approach politics. Like, he is a beacon of hope and inspiration for all Americans. And it's just truly a tragedy that he was taken before he should have been taken. But I will say, of that emerged this whole new evolution of people who are like, yo, this guy was on to something. Like, we need to continue this. And so although he passed, a ton of people emerged of that. And that's kind of like what has inspired me to take up this podcast and do all that, is because he's absolutely right. The more conversation we can have, what do you always say? The minute we stop having tough conversations is the minute that political violence becomes wicked easy. And that's because we've stopped being human to one another. We're on Facebook and you're not held accountable for the cruel things you would say on there. And so it just evolves into a mindset. And next thing you know, you seem in your own head justified to take the life in the pursuit of political violence. And it's just crazy and unacceptable. And he's just an inspiration to how Americans should approach politics and discussing politics.
Yeah. And his whole thing started, like, he didn't have all the assets and everything at first. He sat at a table, the whole change my mind movement. Like, I believe this, change my mind. I'm open to your argument. That's how everything should be across the board. Like, whatever country we're feuding with, go sit down at a table and talk. Change my mind on why I'm wrong and you're right. Like, that's your burden, is to prove to me that I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? So there's a certain way to do things, and I know me, of all people, shouldn't be preaching about it because I am who I am. I like to butt heads.
Well, we all have our flaws.
The older I'm getting, I just want what's just, right. So if the Constitution says I'm entitled to something, then I'm entitled to it. If my HOA bylaws say I'm entitled to something, then I'm entitled to it. That contract swings both ways. That's the whole thing of it. Like, just do what's minimally required on a national level and on even a level like, an HOA or at the school, or like kids, that you teach. Your parents signed a contract for you to come to this school and said you're going to follow the minimum rules and stuff to be here, for other kids' safety and stuff. If you can't do that, then why are we giving so many people chances? You know what I'm saying? Like, you send them down the road, put them in an alternative school, take them to court and let a judge tell them, like, yeah, that's not what the bylaws say. Let a jury tell them, like, oh, I'd be mad too if that was me. Or on a national level, like, go to the polls and stuff. And what I really wish we could see is instead of, it's just so hard. I wish, I don't know, I'm trying to tread this carefully because it could be controversial, but the money that goes into all these political campaigns and stuff, I know that it's allowed, everything else, free speech is allowed, but I almost wish that a campaign, should just be small grassroots, and you get up there and you go seek out your own media and stuff, and you don't pay for it. You know what I'm saying? Because then you're going to get real people and real conversations without, I'm going to buy you $1 million slot for the next 10 minutes, go up there and look good, and then people are going to want to vote for you. That's what's hard, is people using money to look a certain way for 10 minutes on the news and then not actually live it. So it's just crazy to me how this country has gone from like And it still is. This is the greatest country alive. I'm in no way saying America's slipping, but I think there's definitely things we can do to bring it back to the days when people were out there and using their hands to build infrastructure and making the cards that you don't have to take in for a faulty sensor every other day. Like back when Americans worked and things were like harder to make a living, you had more pride in ownership. You had more, you were proud of the hard work that you put into something. Now, when you have all this stuff being given to you and your food stamps and everything else, like my kids are never going to go hungry. I don't care if I'm poor. Like I'm going to go work and I'm going to go wash cars or I'm going to cut grass or whatever. My kids are not going to go hungry. But some people aren't willing to do that. Like without government assistance, like they go hungry or they lose their iPhone or whatever, like you need to go back to making it hard on people. And if you can't provide for your children, then maybe you shouldn't have those children. And if you already have those children and can't provide for them, then maybe there's a better placement for them until you can get on your feet. You know what I'm saying? Like if we're going to be floating the bill on it, maybe there's a family out there that could like care for those children temporarily until you can get up on your feet. Because it's a repetitive cycle. You know what I'm saying? The more you feed into these issues, the less you get out of it. Like there's no return on investment for the nation. You know what I'm saying? You got to have a little bit hard to be able to push forward to the better, like without struggle, where are we at? Like, and you could take that in any context you want. Think about Martin Luther King. If he wasn't willing to step up and speak on his platform, and risk his life and everything else, would we all be, together and being able to be in interracial relationships or have best friends that don't look just like you? Would we be there today if somebody wasn't willing to do a little bit of difficult things and stand up and say, hey, this sheriff, he really hates me and he might drag me down the street behind a truck, but if I don't do it, then are we ever going to move forward? No. So sometimes uncomfortable conversations have to be had for the betterment of the nation. So it's just one of those things that you're never going to have a perfect outcome to anything, but there's always going to be a happy median and what's better for the greater good of the entire nation, right? Not just the immigrants or the people that were born here or the Native Americans or whatever. Like there's a happy median for everybody, but you got to find it, right? You got to come to an agreement, and it's just without media like this, without podcasts and stuff, I'm telling you, we're never going to get there. So we got to stop listening to like the big three, the big three news outlets and stuff that tell you something. Like you need to branch out and go, maybe get out of your house and go travel and stuff and see what people are talking about. So
yeah, dude. Yeah. That's all. That's exactly it. More conversations, more exposing yourself to other ideas and beliefs. Bring back 80s America, baby, when we had work ethic, when we were grinding out the struggle, making things, creating lives for ourselves. Struggle, strength, grit, determination. That's what America needs back. We're giving you that here at Crossfire Republic. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. I know that we've taken up a tremendous amount of your time today, Jay. Casey, was there anything? It's been a blast, dude. There's nothing better than reminiscing with the old boys of Panjwai. Casey, did you have anything else before we?
Just last thing, Jason. Hey, how can our audience follow you? Are you Instagram, Twitter, or anything?
Yeah, so I started a Instagram way back when. I haven't really monitored much, but I think I'm gonna get back on it after this HOA dispute I'm having dies down. But I'm on Instagram. Right to Bear Inc. is my handle. So it's spelled the same way. No weird spelling. Right to Bear Inc.
And he's an FFL dealer. So if you are in the market for some firearms, he's your man. You can trust him. He went through Panjwai, so he is a warrior. He's a constitutionalist. He's a great father, a great husband, and one of the best friends that I've ever had in my life. Truly grateful to have you as my brother, Jason.
100%. Love you, bro.
Love you too, bud.
Harris, absolutely love you. When I first got to the unit, I was a brand new private, and everybody hazed me and hated me, and you're like one of the nicest people right away. And you always had my back, and I'll always be grateful and always have yours.
Same, buddy. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, with that, let's close up shop. Our next podcast, we're going to be going over the Conor McGregor fight. We're going to bring on our boy Watsy, and we're going to talk about the McGregor fight. We'll probably even dive in a little bit to AI, data centers, technology, what that means for the future of our country and our economy. And we'll get into all that. So make sure you give us a follow and stay tuned for that next video. It's going to be a good one. My money's on McGregor. Before I let you guys go, who we going with, Holloway or McGregor?
McGregor all day.
All right, let's go, baby. He is the underdog, I believe.
Hey, McGregor's my spirit animal, bro. I gotta go with McGregor.
He's the man, dude. And whenever, all the dudes that we grew up watching are all kind of phased out. So whenever we get one that comes back into the mix, I get wicked excited about it.
Heck yeah.
I'm pulling for McGregor. Let's see how his conditioning is, how his strength is, injury, all of that. It's gonna be a great fight. The whole card's gonna be good, I hope. And so we'll discuss that. But with that, boys, I guess we close up shop. Shout out to the boys of Panjwai. And keep kicking ass, boys. I'm wicked proud of you. Keep carrying on what you're doing. You guys are amazing men, warriors, and America should be proud that men like us stood up and fought against enemies, foreign and domestic.
Well, yeah, good group of guys. So y'all keep it up. I'm looking forward to the next episodes.
All right, let's go. We're definitely going to have you on more, Jason. You're the man, bro.
Looking forward to it, man.
All right, have a good one, boys.
All right, see y'all.
All right, bye.